It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Yeah. Are you afraid? Are you afraid? A little bit afraid? Are you afraid? Just a little bit? Relatively concerned? Huh? Got a pantry full of? Did you buy silver? All the freaking decades I've been screaming to do it. Did you do that? Did you? Didn't? Oh, I'm so sad for you. Well, I'm telling you, freedom's phoenix from the ashes of Lady Liberty's torch, freedom's rebirth. Well, guess what? This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. This is it. It's not all of a sudden, just a little bit, and then all of a sudden. It won't happen all at once, but it'll happen overnight. I mean, all this stuff I've been going, and commercial real estate and housing is yet to go, but it's starting. This is, going to my kids, they want to upgrade and get another house or do kind of, I'm like, whoa. One, you sell this and you probably need to rent for like a year, and one of my kids actually did that, and then when you want to get your gazillion dollar, I need my own aircraft hangar house, you wait just a little bit and you'll get it for half off. Woohoo! It's a deal. This is when everybody makes the money. Mm-hmm. This is it. This is, the Depression, that's when fortunes are made. That's when you get companies, pennies on the dollar. That's when you get all kinds of, Warren Buffett come out and he said, all you guys are stupid. We call it Mr. Market. It's the emotional aspects of the market. Mr. Market. I got my next quarter, I got to save my, he goes, all you have to do is preserve capital. Make sure you don't lose a bunch. So what do? When it's all high and everybody's freaking out, and they're fine, you can buy mine. I made 2, 3, 4 times my money. You take it. Be gone with you. And then you're sitting on cash. And then what do? You wait until they get all freaked out on some publicly traded stock that's gone down to what, and the assets are worth way more than what you're going to pay for it anyway. Okay, let's do that. We buy that. We got a bunch of that. We're going to get that. Yeah, but the market's going down. It's kind of your falling knife and noise. He goes, I know that over time it's going to go up, or I can just liquidate the assets and be fine. And if you're not in a position to take a deal at, multiple times the value of the property, then don't do it. If you're not in the market, don't be stupid. Because Mr. Market is all about the emotional part of it. Where are the fundamentals? And fundamentals seem to not freaking matter when they're playing this. We need annuities to get at least 6%, 7 obligation, a pinky swear promise to the retired cop. Nah, it's gone. So this is where the great taking thing came in, but David Webb. He was a hedge fund super guy on Wall Street, wrote a book, The Great Taking, had him on a couple of times. I understood exactly what he was talking about. And we went over this. We warned of it in July of 2008. I'm saying, look, man, if it's on paper, and I just, a couple weeks ago, about the time Phranq and I did the last show, I sent out a text to my family, which is, it's always family stuff. Yeah, no politics, economics, you're doing it wrong. But I just go, look, I'm just going to give you one, drive-by here. Papa says, if it is in paper, if your equities, your stocks, your 401ks, your IRAs, all that, if it shows you on paper that you're we rich, I go, no, you're not. Because, and it's gone. Take and play all in, everybody all in, you're all in, it's gone. It's ours now. That is coming. It's here. I go, you need to get in the hard assets now. Buy silver, gold, get the truck you always want, something. I have no idea. Tools, educate yourself, your kid, invest in hard, they can't take it, assets. And if you don't do that, I'm just saying, your paper wealth don't mean shit. Sign Papa. In a nice way. So then the discussion ensued a little bit and back and forth, and I did my part. And then, boom, silver took out. Oh, my God. And I'm like, I don't have to say anything. Now, a lot of, older, friends, family, relatives, in-laws, my sisters and, Donna's brothers, and, it's kind of, we see it. All right, here we go. Because we warned them back in 07, 08. I'm saying, look, this is going to get stupid. And the only person that listened to me was Donna's grandmother, because she had been through this several times before. She started, buying stocks with the coffee clutch back in the 60s. They got, what's this AT&T thing? I mean, IBM, they like a lot of initials. We'll buy the initial people. Just like now you buy the .com people. I mean, that kind of crap. So she did fine. But then you give it to a financial planner, and they go, well, you need to. I go, I don't give a shit what these guys say. You need to get in the hard kind. That's when it started doing the silver gold thing. Now, all of a sudden, one of my brother-in-laws goes, well, I want to sell all my silver now. I get my money back. I make some money now. I'm going, well, you think it stopped? This is whatever. You do you, But
wait. So like most of your extended family and everyone you're in the Hancock extended family, and only one person after all of your Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner rants and everything, only one person took some advice to get some silver.
Well, no, they all did, but they did it in paper. A lot of them, because they don't allow you to take your retirements and so on and just, it's my money, give me, and then go do what you want with it. Well, then you got to pay tax penalties. You got to. Well, them in the market. Well, that's not efficient. I need to be able to transfer my 401k in retirement into, you can do that with a ETF, a representative index to transfer, electronic transfer fund of, it's not really silver, it just has SLV on it or something. And I'm going, no, that's not the same thing. Well, I'll take a tax hit. So it's better than taking money gone. I can tell you that, So this happened in the 90s, late 90s, back when silver was, nothing, $3, $4 or something. And, a lot of our friends that were younger, libertarian, they took it seriously, just like a lot of people that came in during the Levolution, Ron Paul explained in Federal Reserve. Well, anybody, that you get exposed to libertarians, you're going to get explained to how the Federal Reserve works, and you're not a man unless you read, Creature from Jekyll Island or whatever, right? So then you go through all that, you doing your Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, you're getting your Anthem, you're We the Living, you're reading Griffin's Creature from Jekyll Island, you get an understanding, you're going, damn, this is going to go. It is inevitable, which is what Ron Paul had been screaming about since they went off the gold standard in the 70s, which is why he became a congressman. He's going, look, people know this is not going to end well. Of course, it waits till he's 90 years old, but, for the win. So the thing is that people didn't see the inevitability of what's happening. And when they do the stablecoin thing, the stablecoin, it's still tied to the dollar.
Hey, before we're going to be talking about stable coins. Before we do, I just want to comment. First off, welcome back, audience, for more torture, the tyranny report, whatever the heck this is.
Phranq and I might agree today.
Yeah, we might. We're a little bit screwed. Or at least a lot of people are going to be a lot more taken off guard than before than this community. Well, I just wanted to comment. I had just gone to the gold silver store just the other day. I got out of work a little bit early. I'm a physician, many of you know, and both my offices, and I work with other doctors, but all of the doctors, it may or may not have something to do with the economy. It might not, honestly, but we're all having a slowdown. It kind of comes in waves. It's sort of like an odd slowdown. So I actually got out early, which never happens to me. I thought, hey, I'm going to go to the gold store. I wanted to just check out, talk to my guy, just check in, just a lot of stuff going on. We've been hearing how There's the silver squeeze that's starting to hit over in Europe, especially in England, on delivery. Yeah, of course, typically the London market for silver, for the metals market, of course, the exchange, London Exchange, they traditionally are the hub for physical silver. The Shanghai Exchange started in 2002, and they have slowly tried to create basically build their overall credit as far as just reputation to be trusted. And anyway, it's a long story how then China finally started to allow them to just recently to allow buying and selling metals outside of China. Before they were not allowed to. It was like the Roach Motel. They were accumulating. Now they're trying, now that they have this big nest egg, they're trying to entice other countries who don't trust America to say, hey, there's London, but there's also us. London just takes the knee to America. We don't. So why don't you check us out? So they're coming on in and they're putting money in for the Shanghai. Well, anyway, Shanghai now has apparently an $8 premium for physical silver versus like the ETFs and the paper silver that is being run mainly in London. So people just don't want to wait now for these settlements to occur. They're saying, I want it on delivery. I want it now. And you have to pay an $8 spread, which means there's these arbitrage, deals going on, which is not my world. But so that's going to be selling a lot of physical silver from America off to China or from the rest of the world, because there's an $8 spread. Many people want to take advantage of that $8 difference, which means a lot more silver will be exported out of our country going there. Anyway, there's so much going on with the markets. But I wanted to check in with my gold guy. I think it's good to have good relationships with your local dealers, because as a lot of people don't realize, it's not just who you buy stuff from. These are the people often you'll be selling back to. And so you want to have good relationships with them. So just a little tip. And of course, I know things are getting bad because I saw 2 or 3 now We Buy Gold signs coming out, right? Just in the last week since you and I talked about it. I think I sent a picture of one or two to Ernie. So that's happening. And then I've had 2 friends now, 2 people call and ask me about gold and silver. This is what happened before. They start asking, hey, so how do you get into this now? This sort of thing.
When you got the guys on the corner spinning the signs, buy gold, and kind of like they were tax day or something, then you know.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what's starting to go on.
It's starting to happen. So I'm just collecting the pictures, just kind of laughing about it. So I also wanted to check in and just see if there's a silver squeeze right now in America. Apparently, most of the bullion dealers still have silver. If you go to England, which is why I brought up the London Reserve, where they're starting to get the pressures on them. Apparently, you go in the silver or gold silver shops, there's nothing. Like there's just like scraps like sterling silver, like silverware, which people are bringing in. That's about the only silver people are having. And that doesn't have as much value because you have to send it to a melt.
Right. And they're starting to look at junk silver here, which is, silver coins before 64 and before. Right. Here in the U.S., that's starting to become a market. With the reason they called it junk silver, I remember we paid in, I think, 2010, 11, when it was shooting up, we paid 79 cents under spot for all the silver dimes that we had to get.
Right.
That we got $20,000 worth because we had so many orders for the silver dime cards. When we did that, I'm going 79. Is that even? I'm like, am I just sending my money out in the ether here? I mean, what the hell? But it was recommended by someone. This guy dealt in just junk silver out of his garage, and he had so much that he wanted to just liquidate. Nobody wanted it. That's why they call it junk silver. Now they call it, circulated silver or whatever the hell they call it, trying to, up its reputation. But when they're starting to take and melt down and refine silver dimes, quarters, half dollars, because we have to keep the wheels of industry turning, that means what? I don't know, but here it comes.
And exactly, and so of course, normally people would not want it, but in England, from what I'm hearing, that's what they're reduced down to, and which means it's probably not going to be long until it happens here as well. The irony is people right now are selling their silver because they think it's an all-time high, so you have that kind of transfer over. But a lot of people are it's jewelry, it's things like that you don't sell as coins. And what I had learned as well is that even if everyone starts selling their silver jewelry and trinkets, that still doesn't help the silver dealers right now, because you have to melt it down. And the part I never even thought about is that there are not that many silver melters, or whatever the term is. I apologize, whoever the industry
Refiners.
is. Refiners, yeah. There's only so many, right? It's kind of like gold mines to mine it out, the metal, but you only have so many refiners to melt it down. And there's a process for this. You can't just do it overnight. It takes time. They do it in batches. And there's these machines cost so much money. Basically, you can only go as fast as the one machine. And of course, since this was never an issue before, there aren't like, you can't just like put gold stores on every corner with flipping the signs overnight. It takes years to get the capital to build one of these things. I mean, years, but let's just say it takes a lot of capital up front to do it. So there's a what do you call it? The valve, the pressure valve is that lockup step is the melters. So therefore, if you bring all this junk silver and jewelry in, it doesn't have as much of an immediate cost or price to it, value. Sorry. So so I go to the store, and they still have stuff. Things, of course, are going up. They're telling me that people are basically selling right now. There were a few rich guys. It's interesting.
No, it's just like one of my brother-in-laws. He goes, "Woo, it's back up. I bought it when it was shooting up, and it went to 35,
yeah, I know.
And now it's 50. I will take my money and put it somewhere else that doesn't stress me out of I'm like, you're going to miss it, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
whatever.
I know. They're going to miss what's really happening. Now, this store has been there for decades. Okay, I've known these guys for a long time. And they were there when the neighborhood was pretty good. It's kind of turned over the years, so they have tons of security and like bars, and it's not the best place to be having a gold store nowadays. I even asked them about if they start hiring more security or so in the future. They're watching that one. But what's interesting is usually you saw like regular guys in there trying to sell things. Sometimes a lot of poor people in there just selling heirlooms just to get by, or drug money. There's a lot of counterfeit stuff going through there. And then I would go in like once in a while, and a lot of times I would go just to hang out and learn. That's what I did. I didn't go there to buy things often. I would go to learn and kind of cruise the market. Yeah, I know. It was great. We used to just hang out. I'd be there with my scrubs. So once in a while I would see another like medical person there. Well, I was just there yesterday, and like there was no quote unquote regularly dressed people. All three people who came in and out, I have to say, were very dapper. Dandies, as you can say in today's. Right. And they had like gold watches and things. So it was fascinating to see the people.
Because they know they're going to get their shit kicked out of them in their stock market equties, retirement, whatever.
These guys are figuring it out. So anyway, with that said, I wanted to give you guys all a tip right now. I bought, well, first off, I went gift shopping is what I did. I decided, you know what, I'll splurge a bit. Two things. One is that I purchased for my daughter, I'm just telling the audience, it's a silver set with Mickey Mouse. It was an actual collection from Disney. And the guy, well, not that I would recommend this to you don't want like new music.
Because it's Phranq. Like, go ahead. Go.
Well, I'm doing it for my daughter. And I brought Phaedra with me. Every time I go to the gold store, I bring her. And she gets to know the guy. She's been comfortable there. They all know her. They always give her some candy from the candy drawer. But yeah, she actually drew. I didn't know this. She made some cutout gold and silver tokens, and she paid for the candy with gold and silver little paper tokens that she made, and she did a transaction. It was pretty cute, pretty amazing. But I want her to understand this because I never learned. I never saw a gold store. I want her familiar because I even told her. I said, maybe my job might be, maybe I bought a couple coins, but your job is to know how to sell them and know to understand this as these markets change. So that's why I bring her every time. She's like, they tell her, they always laugh that like the youngest customer they have. She was there since she was a baby. She sucked on a gold coin there, almost swallowed it. So I'm indoctrinating her into that. So I bought this silver set. The only time I bought anything that's kind of, new me, beautiful coins. And then every year on her birthday, my wife and I are going to give her one coin to put into the set. So each year she starts to build this up. So by the time she's in high school, she'll have a nice set and she'll see
She'll sell it and buy a car, a hovercraft.
Yeah, no, exactly. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out as an idea because I know this is one of the last times I'm probably going to buy anything because it's going to get so expensive for me. And also, the little tip for the audience, while I was there, they had their Christmas rounds there. So I went and I did my Christmas shopping all at once because each coin is like $60 now, and that's kind of today. It's a half decent Christmas present. So
let me.
I bought one for each person and my family and such, which is a nice win because if we wait till Christmas, A, it's going to be a lot more money, and B, they won't even have any. So
maybe not. I don't care. It's long term. Now I'm going to show the audience. All right, let's take a look here. Silver right now. We go to Roberts. And Roberts, advertises on show, good friend, takes care of business. You can pay in crypto, bank, transfer, check, whatever, boom, it's delivered, okay? You got it going on. Our family uses Tim Fry over at Roberts & Roberts out of Pensacola, Florida. Top left, FreedomsPhoenix.com, there it is. But you need to do something local. There's some local guys that we use. American Precious Metals, I think, is the one that I do the most. But this is what happens. Silver is $53.99, $54. $54, and, it's up 73 cents just today. To buy an American Eagle 1 ounce of silver is $60.12. $60. I'm going, whoa, what is that? That's a spread of, $6, Usually, silver is around under $3, you're not in too hot a market for ounces. I mean, you can get better deals on, larger quantities, 10-ounce bars, 100-ounce bars, that kind of thing. But what happens is you go, okay, I want something tradable. I want, to have, $20 in my pocket, $30 in my pocket, $300 in my pocket, with one round. So to go and get them roundsies for a Silver Eagle is $6 over. Now, junk silver, I've got it under 79 cents. That's the low. I didn't know that was even freaking possible. Well, now that junk silver is starting to get in circulation again, people are just as we intended. Dime cards. We're like, look, this dime, when you say dime a dozen, that means a silver dime would buy you a dozen eggs. Well, it went from, worth 10 cents to where even when it's at $20, it's like $1.80 or $1.50, something like that then it goes up to $3, $4. And we had on the back of the dime card that showed this. It goes, look, at $40, I think we went up to $40. We're going to have to reprint, So this is just so you got an idea what this really is worth. And now you can see why the phrase dime a dozen. Dime a silver dime a dozen. That's what it means. So that shows you the rate of inflation. Well, it hasn't kept up because eggs, shooting up. So you're going, well, what's going on? When you're in a gold standard market, you have deflation. Your productivity in industrial America, computers, AI, cell phones, all of a sudden you get more productive with your time. So it takes less of a gold to buy your 45, a saddle, and a horse. I mean, that kind of thing, or a suit, or whatever they compare it back in the day. So now you're maintaining your purchasing ability, but it may slingshot past that, go to the moon, and then it'll pull back and up and down. Well, silver, because of the amount of metal in the crust of the earth, okay? You take so much diesel, you try and find a rich vein, you try and find where it's at, whatever. But as a percentage in the crust, some countries are lucky. The Peruvians found the gold medal. Woo, we'd be making it, and the Spanish come and took it, whatever. So percentage in the crust, you have a 16 to 1 ratio of silver to gold. Well, silver It is like a poor man's money. It's actual in currency a lot more. It is a great conductor, and it's easier to work with, and industry needs it for solar panels and batteries and whatever the hell they're doing, okay? So electronics need it. That's why now you know what the most productive mine is, all those computer components and motherboards and everything everybody threw away, and they're separating them out, and you got the recyclers of give me that, and they crush it and make a slurry of we pulled out the gold and silver. That's what they're doing, okay? That's why catalytic converters, all the palladium, platinum, or whatever is in there, woo, they be sawing them off and go make some money because of EPA standard, which we'll get into. That's another Trump thing. So what happens is, it's at like 60 to 1. It goes up to, I mean, it's been stupid manipulated to where they have the price of silver is way down compared. Silver should be $250, $300 right now. And sooner or later, this shit happens, what's going on right now, and they call it the silver squeeze. It means they need silver and it ain't there. That's what it means.
Well, hey, by the way, just real quick, as far as everything you're talking about, these kind of conversations will be perfect if you guys care to have these conversations around the holidays, because that's another reason. If you give a silver coin, I can assure you this year, everyone's going to be talking about silver and gold when people have their Thanksgiving parties and their Christmas parties. So it's like, you know, before I used to, for my employees, I would give them a silver coin, like my front desk people. That's what I would give as a Christmas present. Thank you. And sometimes they would look at it and say, yeah, okay,
thanks, Phranq.
Yeah, whatever, Dr. Tamburri. I say, no, just put it in your drawer. Just hold on to it. But now you give it, you're going to get a whole different response, assuming that you want that. You know, for some of you.
No. This is what I did. My kids in, it was like early 2000s, something when silver was between 6 and 10, 9, around in there. And I was screaming when it was hit $9, hit 10, go hit double digits. I'm telling you guys, we got to buy it. I think I bought most of my silver probably at like $13, $12, something like that. Well, what happened, and I, sold back and forth, bought this, did that, maybe, I should have just kept it all. But, what happened was my kids, what did they have to have in the mid-2000s? What came out? What was the Apple device? What did they want? iPod. Need an iPod. I pay for the iPod. No. So in the stocking, what's the size of an iPod that they feel in there? Ooh, a 10-ounce bar of silver. So instead of buying them electronic bullshit, I go, nope. They for years they were getting 10-ounce bars of silver in their stocking. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it? Well, now they're like, that 10-ounce bar of silver is worth.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, that's like $500. I'm like, yeah, who's your buddy now? Huh? So when my daughters got married, I gave them, hundreds of ounces. I don't say exactly how much, but a chunk. Okay, so they were like, it's kind of dowry. It's all I can afford. I just give you some of my silver. I love my daughters and whatever. So now they kept all that. When it hit $50, I get a call and I see it's my oldest daughter. I answer the phone. $50. That's why she was calling. She's like going, woo, we be loving us some metal, because they went and got a bunch of metals when they went on the road and they liquidated everything, and they, had a big chunk of silver. Plus they did some other investments and stuff. So this is what we have been anticipating, but it's just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
I do not feel, now the stablecoin thing tied to the dollar, how stupid is that? Why are they doing that? They're going, because it's backed by Treasury. It's got to be dollar to dollar. Well, when it's inflated dollars, that crypto doesn't buy me anything. All it does is make it easier to do transfers. What they want is something that settles right away, which is what T0 Patrick Byrne did on NASDAQ. He had it using crypto as you have a token, an asset for a stock that they listed on NASDAQ, like Overstock and all these guys did that. When they do that, the transfer is immediate. Because now when you do a stock, it's got like 3 days before they settle, and then they do the naked short selling and all this, pig's breakfast of commissions and bleeds and fees, and guys they're just ripping us off. So what he did, he goes, no, when you trade this token, boom, it's yours, it's done. You got private key, it's got yours, done, and it cost you a quarter for $1 gazillion. And I'm going, okay, well that's central bank digital currency. Nope, we ain't doing that. We're not doing, we're just making sure that you can only take your retirement and buy Treasuries, yeah, that's the ticket. Treasuries, which just still tied to the dollar. What good does that do? What it does is what they did during the housing crash is it turns, instead of each property, you have to go change ownership and what bank bought up assets and change the mortgage and all the paperwork you do at the county recorder's office. They were bypassing that, turned your mortgage into a number called MERS, Mortgage Electronic Recording System, something like that. And they were just trading it, onesies, illegally. You couldn't have the constable or the sheriff's department go in, a foreclosure and kick them out, and now the property is yours because you didn't do it right. So we're not going to enforce that law. Now it's null and void. Wait. So they made a deal with attorneys general, 50 state, blah blah blah. They do that. Yeah, we're in the mess we are now. So to count on them honoring the deal or the paper, or then you do the great taking to where these brokerages go out of business, like, Lehman Brothers and, all this kind of crap. When they go out, I'm sorry you went out of business, now give me my stock back. No, it kind of was, we took it and we kind of rehypothecated, we used it, and it's not, during the bankruptcy, we're going to determine if your equities are ours now and not yours. Because we went bankrupt with your stuff, kind of what they did to Gerald Celente when he did a futures contract on gold. Well, to do that, they have to change the UCC laws. And they've been doing it since the 50s. This has been a long-term plan thing. But by 1994, they had changed. Everybody goes, well, Universal Commercial Code, they changed one. It's all 50. No, it's not. Each state has laws that they can conform to this Universal Commercial Code thing of what did they do. They changed it. Well, it's kind of your money. You get the benefits, and you get the profit when you sell it and buy, but we get all the fees of the transaction, kind of, the pig's breakfast Patrick Byrne goes on about, and they just bleed it. Goldman Sachs makes their front running, flash trading, all this other crap. So if you have your assets, even in a silver or gold ETF, don't count on it being yours, okay? So this is why I warn my family. I go, it's paper. Don't show me, well, my computer screen says I can. No, you don't. Try and liquidate it. Sure as hell, try and liquidate it when things go to shit. Try and liquidate it when they go bankrupt. And they go, well, we're going to let the bankruptcy court, it's kind of almost sort of your money. You just can't have it now or maybe ever, which is what the great taking was about. This is a guy that hedge fund meets with Soros talking about. Soros kind of went, whoa, the jig's up. He kind of figured it out. Damn it, we got to, not talk to him anymore. So what he did is he liquidated everything, moved to, I think it was Sweden, and he bought literally a little red farmhouse, and he farmed hay now. And he's going, look, because Sweden and Finland had yet to sign on to this kind of crap. Well, eventually they did, and he warned them. He said, don't do this. He goes, I got to write the book. Nobody sees what I see. In July of 2008, I wrote, an article. I'm going, why we're so screwed, the coming Greatest Depression. When I put the Greatest Depression, I got a call from Gerald Celente telling me, well, I trademarked that copyright, you're not allowed to say that. And I'm going, Gerald, who do you think you're talking to? I don't think he knew me really back then, because the Greatest Depression, that's my phrase. I'm like,
the first time you get a call from Celente and he's like ripping you for a copyright.
I'm going, really?
Really?
I'm the first whatever. So then we became friends and, get over it. But so the thing is that here we go. Everything that I could feel was happening because why? Because they can. And whatever they couldn't do, they changed the UCC code so they can do. And when you buy a stock or you go public, you do initial public offering, you sign up at the New York Stock Exchange. I totally agree. I totally agree to make all kinds of money, gets up, and I can use kind of, but the New York Stock Exchange owns it. It's called Seed & Co. You seed over your money to them, and it's called Depository Trust Corporation of whatever. This is all, the paper does not belong to you anymore, and they're incrementally taking away your ownership rights and calling it beneficiary. It's like the new Constitution for the new states of America, where all the rights turn into kind of privileges when there's an emergency if you don't have free speech anymore kind of crap, which is the Ford Foundation and Bilderberg guys wrote back in the late 70s trying to get a constitutional convention so they could totally change the Bill of Rights. All us conspiracy, John Birchie, libertarian, voluntary anarchist, anarcho-capitalist people going, look, we know what you're doing. The whole purpose of a government is protecting individual rights, and you're putting in law that you don't have a right to your property. It's ours now. And I'm going, holy shit, they're doing it. Well, now it's all set up. And when they do stable coins, who's making the money on that? Are there transfer fees? Or there, where's the bleed? Well, they're taking it from the central banks, and they're doing it in, I don't know, mining might be a lot cheaper, it might be a lot easier, it might be, but Trump, what does he come up with? He comes up, and it's an Ethereum token. Yeah, we'll just make it up. USD1. Well, this is going to be the preferred stable coin of Donald J. Trump and family. So when they start doing this, are they the ones mining it? Does anybody else get the? I have no idea. But these are the questions that I want to ask and answer. And nobody's really given me a good determination on this. But what it does do is it makes the velocity of money increase a great deal. How easy it is to buy and sell because it's just a phone app. Boom. You do it. Well, who gets that? Or is that? Or is it going to be a solution, a cure? I have no idea. But they're setting up the infrastructure to do it, to where just like they did in the housing crash, they were able to transfer each home back and forth trading between banks. But they weren't doing it properly so that the government had the ability to enforce your property right and foreclose somebody who didn't make a payment. So they had no idea who owned whatever. So now you're getting in all they have a thing in Europe called Market. Markitt, something like that. Market was about trying to derive all these derivatives of who owns what. They have no idea. But then, well, we found that you didn't do it right, so they paid billions of dollars in penalties and fees so they can make trillions, kind of thing. They're never held accountable. It's just the cost of doing business. But they're setting up the infrastructure that if it's on paper, it's not yours. I'm just saying. So what is yours? Touchy-feely, I got it buried in a time capsule of the safe of underground at Aunt whatever's basement of something. If you're not McDucking it, you're finding out right now you can't get it. And so industry is needing silver. What are they doing? They're getting silver. What are they paying? Whatever the hell it costs. It costs doing business. Because I'm going to sell this widget, I'll just raise the price per unit of a couple of dollars on whatever, cover the silver. But what does it do? It depletes the supply. So that's why mining stocks, a lot of people are investing in mines. Well, I'm going, okay, that sounds like paper to me. How about I just invest and buy silver? So that's where we're going now. Gold, same thing. But I think manipulation to the 60 to 1 or even gone even higher on silver to gold, that's why silver is, for me, the better hedge, investment. It's not investment. You're just maintaining your purchasing power. Well, I'd like to do that. That's better than not, So that's what's going on. And the stablecoin thing is just another speed mechanism for them to do the velocity of everybody gets their commission fee. So we asked Grok. I'm going, okay, let's just, go to Grok here. At least they're pinky swear they want to, give you the truth. I mean, whatever. I'm going, okay, when you're doing these changes, are they making fees for investment? People are taking their retirement and buying stable coins. What's the fee in that? Treasury getting, there's no penalty. No penalty. Who's making the money? Mutual funds can charge fees like management or expense ratios for anything, including buying treasuries with stablecoins if that's their strategy. No specific commission for stablecoin to treasury trades exists since treasuries are bought at auction or through brokers with no direct crypto markup. But the fund's overall cost, are blah, 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 blah. Because the people that help facilitate the trade, that's where they make the money. Their commissions and fees of whatever. So then what does Goldman Sachs do? They go in and they say, oh, we got all these order front run. They go and buy it for one and sell it. And this happens in nano moments. That's why on the Commodities and Stock Exchange, they have who gets to do it first on this flash trading thing. The Flash Boys, they wrote a book about this. What they do is you go in and say, I put in my order. They go out and buy it, arbitrage it somewhere, then sell that to their customers and rape them just a little bit, just a little bit. That's what this flash trading thing is about. You think they're not going to do it with stable coins? Of course they are. You know, that's how they make their money. When you have retail or people that deal directly in the tokens, then they can do that. Well, are these going to be KYC'd? Is it going to be anti-money laundering? Is it going to be, and is it going to be programmable? You're not allowed to buy. It's already. You can't trade your retirement over to these unless you kind of hold back by, treasuries. So it's another manipulation of the market. And your property that you have, and you don't have it if you don't have control over it. That's what ownership means. Control over, possession of. Well, if you don't have possession and control, you don't have ownership. And they're making it legal to you not have ownership. It's kind of them, or you'll pay a penalty, or, oh, we'll get it now, but you got. So that's why when you do a futures contract and it comes due, I want delivery. And they go, well, some places, we've never done that before. We just give you your money's worth and make, we got plenty of dollars. We print, Fred, hey, we got that shipment of electronic push-to-button money. You got, well, okay, we'll give them that money. And they'll offer it to you. They'll give you a premium, because they don't have the silver. So I'm just going, where is the silver? Well, whatever's out there, people are getting now. But how are they getting it? ETFs? You don't really got it. But industry needs physical. You can't put a promissory note in an electronic piece of equipment. You got to have it. So I'm going, okay, here we go. And that 60-to-1 ratio between gold and silver is going to start evaporating. And when it does, and it gets down, what's going to happen to silver? $200, $300, $400. Right now it should be $250 to $300. So what's going to happen? I have no idea, but it's happening. All right, we can go on other stuff unless you got more comment on that. Oh, wait a minute. He dropped off. Let me get him in here. So this is now. So go ahead and give a final comment. What you want to say? We got a bunch of other news to go through.
Yeah, no, that's about it. And did you review that Federal Reserve declaration, or at least the analysis of it I sent you? Did you talk about that?
Well, I read that article.
Gotcha.
But it didn't really tell me anything, that I wanted to know. It's just, okay, well, if the stable coins are going to be represented and backed up by dollars, they got to have dollars. What do they have dollars in? Treasuries. Okay, but it's still a dollar. So the stable coins aren't going to, it's just ease of transfer. The thing is that ease of transfer, who collects the fees on that? The brokerage has the guy you call to do it. So they make bank. And, are you hedging against inflation? No, because it's tied to the dollar. So, it goes up, so, it goes down, it's the devaluation of the dollar. Just because you have it in a stable coin doesn't mean you're hedging against inflation. You're just making it easier to trade it or less expensive. What for they, them, those? What you need is the actual physical stuff. That's what you need.
Right. By the way, this note that came from the Kansas Federal Reserve, and it was an analysis of the stable coin workability. This is not pro or con. It's basically an establishment banker person trying to explain, okay, how sensible is this? And there's always a cost. There's always going to be a cost benefit analysis on it. And what he was saying was, well, this could work, but it's going to have to pull from somewhere, and that deficit could be to the American borrower. In other words, and guys, I'm not the expert on this. I'll try to do a better deep dive on this. I just saw this morning. But apparently, when there's with treasuries to banks, I think regular U.S. banks hold about 20% in treasuries. or when it's loaned. So it's like 20% is in bonds, mutual funds, things
because they
like
classify
that.
it as an asset. It's to cover their reserves or what we do, kind of whatever. They have it, and we had in that article that you sent, the chart. It shows the percentage of it's like 8 point whatever trillion dollars by foreign and international interest. You got mutual funds at 4.5 trillion, blah 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 blah, down to just 129 million billion in stable coins. Well, that's going to start. You watch this chart. You're going to start seeing stable coins, and the more that stable coins go up, that means that they're trading all this other stuff. All the the pensions, all the municipalities, the state and local, and all that kind of stuff is going to start moving over to stable coins. Why? Because they can trade it faster. It's the velocity back and forth.
Right. No, I know the reason.
It's not going to change anything.
Well, I know the reason they're trying to do it, but let's just finish the point, which is that banks, when they're holding treasuries, it's like 20% for the banks. But for stable coins, like you buy through Circle or so, they're 50% at least of treasuries. So therefore, if
100,
right? Yeah. Well, at least not yet. Right? I'm sure they want to go there. So if you think about it from their point of view, if you loan money to the banks, they're only buying 20% of the money from government, of 20% into bonds. But with a stable coin, it's 50%. It's a 30% increase in the people buying your sucker bet treasuries. So therefore, you have a 30%. So this analysis from the Federal Reserve, and I encourage you guys who are money guys, go ahead and read it. Ernie's going to post on Phoenix.
It's up there. I'm showing it right now. It's at the top of the page.
Okay. Is that okay? Well, where's that 30% going? Right. I mean, 30% more for treasuries with stable coins. But what did the banks use that 30% for? Because they have other assets on the books, and one of them is, of course, giving loans to customers and such. So therefore, if the government is going to be playing with stablecoin companies over the banks, then that means there will be less money that the banks will have in order to lend out. So if I'm reading it properly, I read it a few times. It's kind of a dense article, but that's what it kind of says to me. Is that
it doesn't say enough. It doesn't say enough. It doesn't say how these treasuries are programmable, whether you can do it, how you can do it. Like Donna, had to have a Ranger, Polaris, 4-seating kind of. So when you guys come out, we can tool the desert. Woohoo! Because she needed it to go around because it's 18 acres, So when she goes to the bank, she had to call and say, hey, man, I'm going to come get, some thousands of dollars here. Kind of, it's over $5. It's like $7,500 or something. I want to go can I have my money? Well, sure. Why are you bugging us? Well, it's a American Mountain Credit Union as opposed to Bank of America, because that's a whole other thing. So they're like, yeah, we love you a long time. You can just come get your money. All right.
Well,
up until you can't.
Well, I'm just saying, look, if I'm reading it right, an audience, check it out, and you money guys, send us and maybe clarify for us. But if what I'm reading is true, it's one more death knell to the economy, and the fact that there will be less money to be lent out for people to start investments and to start businesses. So it's one thing who has the capital when we don't have the commodities, we've been selling it overseas, and the rest of the world, the BRIC nations, have the gold and silver and the mines, and our country's been laughing at them all this time, right? And then all the production jobs have been shipped out. So then whoever's going to have the money left over on the side, so this thing collapses, are going to be able, they're going to have to use that money along with bank money to make loans to build more businesses, and to be able to rebuild this economy. The Freedom's Phoenix and one part of it. But what happens, it's just going to be that much harder if I'm reading this correct, that roughly 30% of what banks could loan now then is not available, because it's all going to stablecoin to try to boost that up, to try to entice people around the world to put their money into stablecoins. And then, of course, they get locked into our system, which Russia has been trying to warn the world about, which we talked about last week. So anyway, any comments from the audience on that would be great to hear. Yeah, well, I'm sure this will unravel as more and more people are taking a stronger look at it. Especially people new to crypto.
And Phranq and I are not. Well, Frank's probably more up on this than I am. Because I don't trust the system. I just buy silver. Well, why do you could have made more? God, yeah, but I can also keep
going to buy stable coins,
it.
but look, I'm not buying stable coins, but don't you at least want to know how they're going to outflank you like the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park?
If it's on paper or linked to the dollar, it is not going to protect you. And if it's on paper, it's not going to protect you. They have made sure that they're not going to protect you. Who are they going to protect? The banks. Brokers, they, them, those. This is when in 08 when this happened, 09, they do TARP, and they go to the banks. They said, yeah, your brains or your signature is going to be on this here contract, and you totally agree to whatever because we're going to save the system. Screw the system. That's the system that's the problem. And every time they do that, they get little something more. And now what do they get? Programmable money. You're allowed, they're already doing it. You can't take your retirement and convert it to silver. You have to put it in the market on an ETF or a treasury. Oh, we'll open up this stablecoin thing. But what is it in? Dollars. I don't want dollars. I want silver. I don't want a contract on a piece of paper. I want silver. And to do that, you're paying an $8 premium. That's what you're doing. So certainly in the industry these things, it's $6 now just to go retail. So whoa, damn, neon flashing, we told you so. So when this happened, when silver in the early 2000s, when it was around 6, and it's starting to threaten going up 9, I remember having guys on, they called it the Elliott wave. A guy named Bob would come on, and they're doing patterns and betting on whatever the hell. And we talked about it, and they predicted, they said, man, this is going to break past 10 easy. Well, they blazed by that. And then he's going, I'm hedging at, $15, $17, but off air he'd go, it's going to be 20. Well, I'm going, shit, that's cheap money. It's going to go stupid is what it's going to go.
All I can tell you guys,
stupid is happening.
The best tip for today's show, I'm saying it one more time. Silver coins for Christmas presents. You get all your shopping done at one time. You help out your bullion dealer, and you will be the topic of a conversation if you want to at Christmas time. Just saying. There you go.
So all those iPod money that I got 10-ounce bars, my kids still have. Once they get silver, you never really sell it unless you're going to get some. The only time I sold recently a chunk, I did I think it was $14,000 when we bought our 2500 RAM. And we had a good deal on it, I thought, and I'm going to, whatever. And one of Bob's sons goes, yeah, I'm thinking of the solar guy. He has, RV Solar Concepts. And he's like, yeah, man, I think we need to buy into silver. We're starting that because he deals in batteries and solar panels, and you can see the price fluctuate. I'm going, yeah, I tell you what, I was thinking of liquidate. I tell you what, you give me a little bit of premium. I think I charged like $1 over spot or something like that because it's cheaper than what he could go get. And I'm going to do you a solid. I'll give you a deal. Then I'll give you some gold and silver. And I'm going to text him right now during the show when you do one of your monologues. And I'm going to go, I'm just wondering. When so what profit did you make on this? Because I told you, you're going to be thanking Ernie. You're getting into it. Come on. Well, he's going to be very happy. He already is. I guarantee it. All of you out there that did it when it was back $3, $6 an ounce. We had audience members that sold their home, bought silver. It jumped up in the teens. Then they were liquidating houses for pennies on the dollar back in 11 and so on. They bought back their house, paid cash, got it for a third of it, still had silver left over. Thank you, Ernie. I heard these stories a gazillion times.
Wow.
And it's because we were screaming this. Well, as time goes on, you're missing out on it was the crypto thing. Crypto craze. We're going to get in crypto. And then once I'm going, it's going to get met. Yeah. I got some crypto and made, some good whatever. But that is not the real I hold it. Because they're doing the manipulation of that too, which is why they're going to bring on a whole bunch of nuclear power. They're going to get into fusion. They're going to be doing their own mining, their own surveillance, their own, and whether they call it a central bank digital currency or not, it's going to have the same thing. If they limit and program that you can only get stable coins that back the dollar in treasuries, that's programming. What do you think was going to happen? And it's only going to get worse.
Agreed. So, anything else on the economy, which I guess is not much else to say because I'm just toast. But,
if it's paper, you don't own it.
It's
just
fascinating.
saying.
It is. I have to tell you guys, it's been amusing as hell watching some of these like mining company videos. Peter Schiff. I mean, Peter Schiff's head's about to explode. I think he's on crack cocaine. He's in the time of his life. Yeah, as a compliment to Peter. He's all of a sudden back on Fox News. They're inviting him back. Yeah, they like banned him all this time. Now suddenly Peter Schiff is invited everywhere, which is showing you also.
Peter Schiff is right again.
Oh yeah, well Jamie Dimon, he has a whole hour and a half video of Peter Schiff. I think each week his smile gets wider and wider. He's starting to remind me of the Joker. Like, his smile's breaking apart. He's so happy, to his credit. And Jamie Dimon actually said Peter Schiff was right. He said it out loud that he finally gets it. And Jamie Dimon, I think, is now, like others, starting to publicly announce that commodities, gold, silver, what have you, in different ways of playing, doing those plays, is a strategic move. And of course, more banks have joined J.P. Morgan, which is, to have gold in basic assets for retirement. Used to be, we talked about it when it first happened, the day after it was first announced at J.P. Morgan, that the standard financial retirement advice that every financial broker that gets co-opted by the system in their Ivy League finance school program, they basically just get beaten down and told, this is how you do it. Kind of like going to conventional medical school. This is what happens. The patient points to where it hurts, give them these drugs, right? That's pretty much how they're taught. The same thing in finances. And so they're told, told that you're not allowed to tell a person to hold more than 10% in precious metals. That's actually, you'll lose your license if you say hold more than 10%. You're not allowed. It's too risky, and you're doing the wrong thing. You're supposed to say 60% go into stocks, right? Which, of course, the whole thing is boosted by printing money anyway, inflated dollars. Then the other 40% goes into bonds as supposedly a stable, safe foundation in case the stocks drop as you're retiring. And so, but 60% more into stocks because people would like to think that most of their money is doing, nice fun investments, that the stock market keeps going up because that's what it's supposed to do since we started inflating the money, after the 70s. And of course, just like your house, it's supposed to always go up. Just never question why it keeps doing that. It's just, that's what you do. The house goes up and stocks go up.
We started interviewing Peter.
Wait. So now they're saying 60% stocks and 20% bonds. So you're having the 40%, and the other 20% is recommended now into gold. Now it's J.P. Morgan. Other banks are saying, some of them are saying 25%, some are saying like 15%. It doesn't matter. Just the fact that everyone's sounding like Peter Schiff, and of course they're going to sound like it's their brilliant idea. But credit to Jamie Dimon for calling out Schiff. I just want to, credit to Schiff on that. Go ahead.
We had started interviewing Peter Schiff in 2011. We had talked to him, prior to that, back in the day. And so 2011 and now it's 25. What is that? That's like 14, 15 years. And we have and we've been walking through everything on metals, on its relationship to crypto and yada, 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 yada. So I just had him on less than a month ago. It was September 19th, last time we had him on. And of course, what's he saying? Here we go. And so he's not, he and I, kind of have, long conversation. We schedule an hour, winds up being 2 kind of thing. But it's not the same as him doing a 15-minute on Fox News kind of deal. We're just going on about every little old thing. So you go and you look for Peter Schiff on Declare, and I tell you, you'll get an
Hey, Ernie, one of the advantages with you, aside from the fact that you do a long-form interview, is you tend to ask, let's say, unique questions specific to our audience that, other conservative sites would not be asking. Is there any kind of different question that you asked that you had an interesting response from Peter? Not to summarize too much that whole interview, but anything unique that came out of that?
Nothing the audience doesn't already know. We just talked about stuff, political, motivational, emotional.
All right. Well, how about this? Did you talk to him about the great taking? Because remember, he's talking about buying gold stocks mining stocks, which flies in the face of your advice. Did you bring that up?
I don't think, not that I remember. I'm sure we kind of, because I always say this, when it's metals is not the same as paper. Blah, 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 paper. When they did, this electronic trading, the ETF thing, it was just another derivative based on, it has no backing. It was just a bet on the market. It's not like they back, well, we got some back kind of sort of percentage of maybe a little bit of something. When they're doing these stable coins, they're going, okay, it's dollar for dollar. Well, all right, well, where are the dollars? Well, we got some paper silver backing it up. Well, that's not the same thing. And is it 100%? Well, it's a percentage of required. They just keep creating more value money out there that's not tied to a physical, I got it in my hand. And even if they pinky swear that they did, I remember at Narcapoca one time, they were really pimping to me this one company of a silver-backed crypto. They're going, yeah, no, we have, yeah, where? Where does it say? We went through eGold on this before where they had it in Dubai, and then the man came and, took it or liquidated it. I mean, they always do. Why? Because that's where the money is. Because they can. And I'm going, all I have to do is look, where can they? Where do they write it down that, is not your money? Well, the great taking, in reserve requirements, it's not one-to-one. That's one-to-one trade. I go, no, but it's not one-to-one. You got it. And even if you say you do, is it really there? I'm still waiting on my Fort Knox on it. You know what I mean? So I'm going, no. And then if they liquidated, all the gold in Fort Knox is valued at $42 because I have no idea what the hell, whatever. So they go, oh, we'll revalue it up to, 45, whatever the hell they do. And I'm going, okay, then what? Well, it's still like $1 trillion of a $38 trillion debt. And I go, and if they promise it and give it kind of, give us the money and we'll use this as collateral on the balance sheet of the Fed, well, then what happens? They got the gold. We don't. The country doesn't. They just spent the paper money and it's gone and the gold's gone. And for that, we went from 38 to 37 trillion debt. Big freaking deal. This is the biggest bank robbery there ever was, and they're doing it right in front of us, in addition to limits and conditions on how you can use what's supposedly your money. But it's called stablecoin, and it's stable to what? Sand? I mean, really? Hell, sand has become more valuable. So I'm going, this is so stupid, and it's so obvious, and it's so international. And you have all these other countries are doing what? They're stocking up on gold and silver. You think Russia's got the largest land mass inside, they got plenty of precious metals, but they're just dependent more on gold now. So what are the Arab states doing? They're going, this oil thing's not going to go forever, so they're investing in tech and real estate. They're doing like the Hong Kong thing. We're best to do business. Well, Trump's going, we need to get it back America. We need to get rid of all this crap and, stuff and employees and fired and the Democrats, the Schumer shutdown. We're going to, that's an opportunity for us to fire a whole bunch of IRS agents and a whole bunch of educational people and a whole bunch, and they're freaking. Well, then they're going, you're not going to be able to pay the military. Well, we'll just take this discretionary money we had sitting around over here that nobody knew about, and we'll pay them, or we'll get some guys to pony up. We're going to drag this out. It's all political. It's all bullshit. And then they come up, well, don't count on you're not working that you're going to get paid. Usually when part of the deal is that they'll go, all right, we'll retro pay everybody. Well, we retro fired everybody. Now what? So this is not playing out on any fundamental. It's political. It's all bullshit. And I'm going, during all this bullshit, you want to be in their system with their bullshit? Or the bullshit how your money ain't yours? I'm telling you, that is what's happening. So, in violation of political and economic, I go on the family chat. All right, here comes Papa. Get out of paper! Just saying. Will they? Probably not, but I had to say it, So, but they do all buy, they're in the metals, so that I feel my family's going to be okay. And they got skills, and they're young and actually have ethics of working in a family restaurant. If I show up on time, I wash my underarms and shave and comb my hair, and show up on time and do my job. So they're going to be fine. They're head and shoulders above everybody else, So this is what's coming. And I just wanted to, there's so much of the stories that we put up, just like what Phranq sent us and put this up we're discussing now, because don't say that I didn't say. That's all I'm saying. Well, Who listens to Ernie? What does Ernie know? And I just say, I know that they're corrupt. They're bad, bad, bad. I know that. And if they can take that which is yours and make it theirs, they are. And who's them? The banks, the financial industry, the broker. The they, them, the all of them belong to the same country clubs. Sitting there going, "Whoa! And it went down. We need a bailout." So you can start thinking, here we go. So enough said. I'm done. Next issue. Next, Phranq. Next. You're muted, Phranq.
There I am. So, a couple of things to shift gears. There is, I know it turns into sometimes the Israel report. It seems like our country is dividing over Israel.
Isn't that all fixed? I thought they fixed that. Are we done?
They didn't fix that? No. Well, here. So here's something I'm going to read to you guys. This is a new initiative to get DEI out of the schools. So Trump just said,
and you're fired.
For all the colleges, they are getting DEI out. They're saying if you don't get DEI out, you're not going to get federal funding, and we want to make education great again. Like literally, I mean, all this I could read it. He's talking all this great stuff that he sent out to all the colleges. But then, like towards the back page, there's this one paragraph. It's actually Section 13, subsection A, and this one is for Brown University. So each one, I guess, was specialized. But here we go. I want to read this here. There's this one exception. Brown is committed to taking significant, proactive, effective steps to combat racism and ensure a campus environment free from harassment and discrimination. These shall include actions to support a thriving Black community, research and education about Africa, and a robust program in Black studies. I'm reading that wrong. No, it's not Black. It's not Chinese. It's Jewish studies. This is the one exception that is now put in. Essentially, I've been playing with you guys, is that they're saying they're taking DEI out of the schools. However, there's one exception, which is basically Israel or Jewish DEI is now being put into the measures. So let me read the whole thing here legitimately of what it says. These shall include actions to support a thriving Jewish community, research and education about Israel, and a robust program in Judaic studies through outreach to Jewish day school students to provide information about applying to Brown, resources for religiously observant Jewish community members, renewed partnerships with Israeli academics and national Jewish organizations, support for enhanced security at the Brown Hillel, I guess that's the on-site group, and a convenient alumni, something about alumni students and faculty to celebrate 130 years of Jewish life at Brown at the 2026 whatever academic year. So all of that is included. This is if they want money from the government, this is from the Trump administration. So just all you have to do though is substitute, African American, Chinese, Greek, Polish, just put any other group in what I just read and see how that reads to you. Again, I know some of the people out there are just triggered the minute you say anything about Israel, anti-Semite. But you know what? That just doesn't play anymore. I just don't care that kind of accusation. It's like saying I'm against, all immigrants when I'm against or at least challenge illegal immigration, right? There's a big difference, people. I'm not playing these semantic games anymore. It's just we're gaslighting. But anyway, so that's but aside from that, DEI is not out of the schools thanks to Trump. All right.
Well,
and then if we're going to continue that one, did you happen to hear the? I really don't know how much this has gone viral on this or not. Did you see that clip with Donald Trump speaking at the the Parliament? Was the cassette? I'm sorry, I apologize. In Israel, the Israeli
cassette.
Cassette. It's called the cassette. I'm sorry. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, it's a unique name. And that beautiful wall looks like an ancient wall behind. I'm not sure if that's real or if that's. I can only imagine. But anyway, so Donald Trump gave a speech, and of course, standing ovation, and everyone is there. And then he calls out, was it Adelson? Did you see that clip where he calls her out and talks about
Yeah,
her?
he goes, yeah, they're always in. He died,
The husband,
Adelsons are wealthy American Jewish, and he asked her, so where's your allegiance, the U.S. or Israel? She didn't answer, so we know, they used their gazillions of dollars and pinky swear if we control Marco Rubio and Trump and everybody else we can buy, that kind of thing. So he comes out openly about it. He goes, yeah, they're constantly bugging me. They're coming to the White House all going to explain it to me. He goes, okay, I did it. We got peace in the middle. We got him there. Okay, get off my ass. All right. So he's like, and it seemed like it was kind of, we're done.
This is amazing. So I have it pulled up. Let me just play it. It's like 2 minutes. You guys have to hear this. This is and what's amazing, if you actually see the video, you can see, I don't know if it's Adelson's son. It's a younger man that might be her son or advisor sitting right next to her. But Trump won't drop it. He keeps bringing her up, and then he says, "No, stand up," and then he starts saying when he says that point about which country do you have more allegiance to, or however he worded it, do you like better? You could see the guy next to her, probably a relative or someone. He was cringing. He's like, "No, shut up, Trump! You're making it worse." So the question I want to play this for those who have not heard it, and then the question for the audience and for you, Ernie, is Trump saying something? Does he know what he's saying? Is he trying to say, "Hey, I gave you what you want, but this stops. I'm calling it out," or is it just Trump is so clueless still with the manipulation of how our government works with the government of Israel? Does he just thinks, oh yeah, well, you donated good and you guys are nice and tenacious and you came after me and hopefully you're happy, we make good deals. Is that how he sees it, or is he politically understanding the problem he has? Because his entire base, the Republican Trump base, is splitting every day worse and worse with Tucker and Megan and all the rest of this. So anyway, let me just play this. It's about 2 minutes. So he's standing up, giving a speech, and here we go. One second. Wait. Sorry, I had Freedom's Phoenix playing at the same time. I was being kind of
you're
nimble. Sorry, here we go.
Engage an external party to conduct a survey in 2025 to
I had too many things going. Here we go. Go.
They kept promising. I never understood it until I got there. There was a lot of pressure put on these presidents. It was put on me too, but I didn't yield to the pressure.
Right.
And every president for decades said, we're going to do it. The difference is I kept my promise and officially recognized the capital of Israel and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem.
Obviously, that was his first term he's talking about, and then he gets to the next term.
I'm not hearing it.
Isn't that right, Miriam? Look at Miriam. She's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up.
No, I'm not standing.
I know,
I'll do you, John.
Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else I could think of. Look at
but you might as well say, because everybody's going to point out anyway.
She has $60 billion in the bank. $60 billion, and she loves. I think she's saying no more. And she loves Israel, but she loves it. And they would come in, and her husband was a very aggressive man, but I loved him. He was a very aggressive, very supportive of me. And he'd call up, can I come over and see you? I say, Sheldon, I'm the president of the United States. It doesn't work that way. He'd come in, but they were very responsible for so much, including getting me thinking about Golan Heights, which is probably one of the greatest things to ever happen.
Sorry for all the clapping and applause, wasting time here. All right, here we go.
Miriam, stand up, please. She really is. I mean, she loves this country.
Now, keep in mind, she's an American, right? She's the owner of with the Mavericks.
She loves this country. Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once. I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel, What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must say. We love you. Thank you, Doc, for being here. That's a great honor.
Man, did you hear that applause? And if you could just see the video, I mean, it's just the pictures are worth 1,000 words. That's the quiet part out loud. And so, what do you think? Do you think Trump just stepped in it because he's clueless, or is he more political 3-4D chess on that? What do you think?
I think he's trying to, promises made, promises kept kind of thing. So now you can get off my ass. That's kind of what I'm, hearing. But once you do one thing for him, it's the next thing. I did my deal. I'm a lame duck president anyway. You got a new deal to talk to JD or whoever else is going to be administration of, which they got filled in all the blanks of whatever the hell they're doing. So it's Trump just cleaning the slate. He's just going, all right, you came in and you bugged the crap out. It's done. Done. You signed, they all signed it. Done. Now you go into Gaza and Hamas gets rearmed, or they're showing up on the streets and start executing the Vichy French people that collaborated with the Israeli IDF and the blah, 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 blah. Then you get a bunch of stuff. Well, Israel's still killing people. They're getting deadified. They released all the hostages, only men because they, raped to death the women or gave them up before or doing whatever the hell's going on. So he's like, all right, done. Well, then you have the Knesset or whatever you call the legislative body in Israel, and they're going, yay, Trump. All right, we're done. Can we go back? Well, all of this was really just to distract from Netanyahu going to jail for, spending money, campaign, whatever the hell they went after him for. So what does he say? He goes, I'm thinking, you should just pardon, Netanyahu, my bud, my friend. I did this for you. Do me a solid and get off Netanyahu's ass so he can do some more killing or something. I'm so done with Israel. I don't care whether it's Israel or not. It's everybody. We got our own shit to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? So then what do they say? Well, we made a deal that U.S. troops are going to be on the ground in Gaza. Well, we got to disarm these Hamas going out causing trouble. What we got to do? We may have to forcibly go in and disarm and do and shoot and kill and war, and it starts all over again. This is what Reagan tried to do in the early 80s when he sent a bunch of troops to Marines. You want? All right, here we come. The barracks got car bombed, 300 and something Marines instantly killed. The whole building goes down. Boom. What did Reagan do? We're done. That's it. We're out. I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm not going to go fighting wars. No, we're good. Take them all out. We're done. You guys figure it out. That was it. Oh, hell no. They didn't like that none too much. So is Trump going to do that? He can't. His ego, his id is so enormous that you get troops in there and they come in and they car bomb and drone and, IEDs and whatever the hell's got. Oh, yeah? Well, we got bomb. We're going to go whip some ass so that we can glaze this thing over and build a Trump hotel. We're so screwed if Trump doesn't take the win and abandon. He moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He did whatever they wanted. He, butt kisses Netanyahu all the hell. And even to the point that Israel felt while they're negotiating a peace deal in Qatar or Qatar or whatever they want to call it, Qatar, they have the Hamas leader there in Israel, missiles the freaking or bombs the place they were staying, kills them. Well, then he hands Netanyahu the phone a week or two ago and he says, here, you got Qatar on. Apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I will never do that again. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me tell you how sorry I am. Then here comes Jared Kushner, Ivanka's husband and guy that did the Abraham Accord. All of a sudden, he comes out of retirement or banishment, or where the hell where he's been. All of a sudden, when it's necessary, here comes Kushner and Ivanka, being all blonde purdy, and they go to Israel and they, do the final deal, got the deal, and we got a deal. What deal? I ain't seen this deal. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it's something for who gets. And then we have Qatar's like, yeah, we got kind of a mini little access base to a freaking U.S. Air Force base in Idaho. Where the hell did that come from? I just going, this is so, it's part of the deal. Maybe they're Republican, a deal. And I'm going, we are getting entangled more and more into this crap. And it's going to be a trigger. And what about Syria? Where's Turkey in this? What about NATO? What about Ukraine? What about Putin? So here we got, we appeal to, our AI says you just, squeeze Trump's bicep and go, ooh, you must lift, you're so smart. Well, what did Zelensky say? Hey, man, I'll nominate, as if his opinion means shit. I will advocate for you getting Nobel Peace Prize if you give me Tomahawk missiles to go wage not peace.
Ernie,
what?
You missed the update. The Republican variation or version of Adam Schiff, right, from the Democrats, is Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham was just on the Sean Hannity show the other day. Don't even ask me why I know this. And it's floating around. And he's already calling out that Israel, through our support, should go back and finish the job in Gaza. Apparently, it is true that a lot of the Palestinians are attacking now the Palestinians within their own country who were sympathetic to Israel. Some of the groups that were trying to help Israel to undermine the Palestinian cause. Well, now that it's over, right, now they're like, all right, who are the squealers? And, Palestinians going after the squealers probably is not going to be a very nice thing. I get it. But they're trying to say now that Israel should go back in because that should not be allowed. We have to support our friends in Palestine. So anyway, that's the argument that Lindsey Graham's making as he laughs, as he just chuckles almost and laughs as the money flows in from the military-industrial complex and other sources. But anyway, I find that interesting. I also want to play for you guys. It's very quick. It's about a minute. Is Harry Truman, President Harry Truman. I don't know, some of you have seen this. It's been floating around. It's a minute and a half, and it is Harry Truman when he was filmed by like an actual film company. They had the little clapper board and everything. And these are like 2-minute clips that they edited together. And I guess at the time they broadcasted on TV to the whole country after World War II, trying to explain what was going on with the creation of Israel. And it's only about a minute and a half, but it's fascinating to hear his perspective. And he's just calling out and saying the pressures that he had and what was going on. So let me play this for you guys. All right, here we go.
1949. But don't think that decision to recognize Israel is an easy one. I had to make a compromise with the Arabs and divide Palestine. Jews wanted to chase all the Arabs into the Tigris and Euphrates River, and the Arabs wanted to chase all the Jews into the Red Sea. And what I was trying to do was to find a homeland for the Jews and still be just with the Arabs. But when you go into a thing of that kind, the people you help most are the ones that get most angry with you. Both of them were against me on the situation, but as President of the United States, I paid no attention to them, carried out what I thought was right, and I had the support of the Congress, and I could do it, which is unusual in these days.
Can you tell us specifically that a lot of Jewish people were against you, too?
Oh, well, there were a lot of Jewish people against me because they wanted the whole of Palestine. As I say, they wanted to drive all the Arabs into the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Was one of them. We had several other people in the country, even among the Jews, the Zionists particularly, who were against anything that was to be done if they couldn't have the whole of Palestine and everything handed to them on a silver plate so they wouldn't have to do anything. It couldn't be done. We had to take it in small doses. You can't move 5 or 6 million people out of a country and fill it up with 5 or 6 million more and expect both sets of them to be pleased. We had all sorts of objections to everything that was done. Something had to be done. We went ahead and done it and had it done, and now it's working out. Eventually, I think we'll have them all satisfied. But it's going to take a great deal of time yet to get the job done.
I wonder how it's been working out for you there, Harry. But the thing is, you can see his mindset. It's fascinating just to hear how the old president spoke. And, well, we got it done. Something had to be done, and we did it. It's just very matter of fact of a different world of America. But you can see he was trying to make all sides happy. And granted, from a libertarian George Washington approach, no, you don't. Just get the hell out of there. It's not your deal. But you can see even from the very beginning, there was this discontent that that despite the fact that America, kicked out all these people and gave them a country, it's just from day one. That's where the Zionist movement is. It's like the Greater Israel Project, apparently. And also, from what I understand, is that if you hold them to the Israel to the fire and you say, hey, what are the actual boundaries of Israel? From my understanding, I know there's boundaries on the globe, but I'll double check this as we're chatting today. But I don't know whether it's the United Nations or somewhere is the official boundaries that they don't like to this country of Israel to actually state what the boundaries are. Like, they're not saying that these are our boundaries. It's sort of, they're kind of movable. They're kind of open. They're not officially declared. There's technicalities.
They want all the Sinai Peninsula. They want up against the Mediterranean all the way to the Euphrates River in Iraq. That's Greater Israel.
Yep.
A lot of Lebanon. I mean, they're not shy about it neither. So we need to get, if Trump has done this, to be able to look, you got what you guys, I was able to, and we're done. He does that.
They got what they want. They got what they want, but it's a hell of a cost. And I wonder if Israel,
they always want. It's just like, you give it and they go, we want more and more and more and more. We control the economy and more. You got midterms coming up. Guess what the issue is? It's not going to be Republican or Democrat. It's going to be Israel. It's going to be war. It's going to be economy. It's going to be just more of this crap.
Yeah, but Ernie,
if Trump can get us out, fine. But if not, he's just making it worse.
Well, before they could push it by just giving more money, contributions to elected officials. And of course, if the media pathways back then were very limited, 3 networks and newspapers, and you get into that trope, for what it is.
And they control the election. It's an election fraud.
So you can sit there and you can buy off politicians and get these sorts of policy changes and backings and all of these things that we're now seeing what's been played out. Many of you and many of us have known much more. Some new to the party. But what I'm saying is, at what expense? It used to be just before money. Then there might be extortion. That's where the Jeffrey Epstein issue comes in at. Many ways to force the pressure valve in their favor. But what they never really had was blowback. They would get blowback from Middle Eastern countries, but as long as we looked at Middle Eastern people as, Arabs with towels on top with bombs attached to them, the way the stereotype has been, just like Team America and that movie. If that's the stereotype, then they're happy with that. But when all of a sudden it breaks down and the illusion breaks down and we start to see Israel as for who they are, and I mean that just objectively, and then you see Palestine for who they are objectively, without all of the overtones and the Operation Mockingbird and everything else, what happens? It's kind of like when you see anyone have a fight, unless one person in the party fighting is a sociopath. Typically it's kind of like after a divorce. Each side thinks the other side was 100%, culpable, but often it's somewhere in between, right? And you when you see the whole story, you realize, things are messy.
If you're in a continued fight, one of the people is a sociopath. I mean,
No, exactly.
Well, if somebody's defending against a sociopath or a sociopath doing sociopath stuff, you got war. You're not dealing with, honest people.
Point taken. I just mean that's hard to put the genie back in the bottle without a full-on authoritarian takeover of the media. Now, granted, we have the new DEI program that I just read to you, so they're certainly
Israel
trying.
Just bought social media. No, we got TikTok
exactly.
now.
We'll go ahead and buy TikTok, and we're going to go buy on CBS. Now we control 60 Minutes, the authority of the news. Only that they've already torched their own credibility. So you can put Barry Weiss in there, all you want, but people now it's immutable at this point. So people are just going to move wherever they want to go, and I think they may have lost a lot more than they think. I think they're so used to being able to control the narrative. Like, a lot of people have money and power. You control the narrative, but, just like the Democrats have learned they can't, the Republican National Convention, the RNC learned the hard way that they can't control the narrative, thanks to certain President Trump, who I've been definitely a supporter of overall. But all of this has been, look, I'm happy he won for the larger issue.
Yeah, no, but he represents the system, and he's supporting the system.
No, well, yeah. All right. Well, let's not get into that right now.
Where's my frog march as the bad guys?
No, he's definitely letting me down. I've been clear on this show, but I still support the fact of what that election was. That was an existential election, in my opinion. And I know to you it doesn't matter, and for a lot of half the audience, I get it, no problem. But anyway, I think this is another genie that won't be getting back in, as so many things are being exposed. So I just wonder whether the Israeli lobby and Bibi and all of them, whether they are aware of how much damage the social capital that they have created. I mean, they can always fall back to, you're an anti-Semite, and try to shame people back in line. But I don't think it's going to work this time, especially when you have Democrats and Republicans or liberal and conservative podcasts starting to do a lot of crossovers. I mean, you've got the Young Turks. You got Anna Kasparian and what's his Cenk Uygur, and these guys are now sharing podcasts with Tucker Carlson and Candace, and you're seeing this crossover.
The future is about credibility. Who do you believe? What narrative are you willing to take on to make decisions for the rest of your life? Well, it's always short-term, this next election, this quarter thinking, to where we're up against, collectivist governments around the planet don't think that way. And I'm going, we are so screwed because there's no principal foundational base of the functionality of capital, real free market. I don't even know if I want to call it capitalism, but free markets where individuals' property are protected. When that goes away, what do you say you do here, Uncle Sam? Why the hell am I? What? Kiss my ass. And what is the alternative? I don't know. It's going to be, I don't know. A lot of libertarian friends are going, well, sociopaths and psychopaths, government, that's why you can't have nice things. You still got to have, some gun going around. Well, what was it before? Pinkerton detectives, 100 years ago going around, you hire us and we'll enforce your rights because the government ain't doing it, So it comes down to corporate militias, which is what's happened in the past. So I'm going, it always writes itself. It always does. And when the government is perceived as the ones taking your rights away, enforcing, whatever BS for the bad guys, and oh, by the way, it's not your money anymore. Why are they there? It's over. Occupy the land. Occupy the land. Occupy the land.
Well, anything else for the overall news? Probably. To me, those are the largest stories. I will on a little bit of a social or media news. Disney, of course, we'll talk about Disney. They have lost. Disney has lost even more money. Their latest movie, Tron Ares, bombed big time. Massively bombed. And this is just adds to the list. I keep saying it's like, oh, this was even more money. And it adds to Snow White that bombed, and Captain America or Captain Falcon that bombed, and Elio that bombed. And most of you don't even know what these movies are. And I could keep, and Fantastic Four, that bombed, and the new Avengers movie, that bombed. And this is all like the last year and a half. It's you sit back and you go, how does Bob Iger still have a job? Like, how are these? And yet they probably just go ahead and get a raise. Now, Bob Iger is set to retire soon, and he's trying to go out on a bang. And I think he keeps thinking that he's waiting for his exit point, but it never shows up. Now, another thing that Disney's doing is they acquired, of course, Fox. They acquired a bunch of different, that's all they do. They don't invent anymore. They just buy from everybody else and then they ruin it. But they also bought Hulu. And I predicted on this show, and granted, I heard this from some of my, the cinema the geeky sites that I also frequent. But they were commenting on this, that the economics of what Disney's doing. They bought Hulu because it was a main competitor to the Disney Channel, the Disney network. So they bought it so they can run it into the ground. And that's what they're about to do. They're actually in this transition right now where Hulu's just going to be this small little tile tucked away on your deal. They're not going to put it out completely out of its misery, but they're sucking all the value from it. They're raising the prices and reducing the content. And so anyway, Disney's doing a lot of these little, jumping through a lot of hoops here, trying to stay relevant. Plus, their Disney parks. They have, get this, they just increased the rates of going to Disney World. I mean, they've done this like every year in a row. I think it's the third or fourth year in a row they have increased the price. And attendance keeps going down, down, and down. There's whole videos of there's like no one at Disney World. And so when there's, and matter of fact, October right now, they have Halloween Scream Week. That's supposedly a big deal. Thanksgiving, Christmas. I mean, if you try and go Christmas, it's like 5 times the price. It's booked out a year. There's openings at Christmas, apparently. There's openings at Halloween. Not that I'm planning to go. Yep. And they can't believe how are there openings this time of year, right? Because people are not showing up for a whole host of reasons.
Credibility.
Their credibility. They don't like the rides. They're getting rid of. Of course, they got rid of the Song of the South, a roller coaster, because one person decided they were offended by Uncle Remus. They tore down the most attractive ride. Right now, also in the middle of Disney World, one of the most fantastic spots is what was it called? It was like Frontierland, that area where they have the Dolly steamboat that goes through the man-made lake there. You have the Hall of Presidents. You had that was actually Walt Disney's favorite part. In fact, it was the hub, the heart of all Disney World was old-time America. Well, they are now destroying that whole thing. They're tearing down the entire lake. They're taking out the Dolly steamboat. They're taking down all the Americana of that area, which, I mean, that is really the death nail to what Disney World is. They already changed one section and put the Star Wars land that nobody's going to because they hate the new Star Wars. They're now, they destroyed the Uncle Remus ride that everyone loves, one of the most popular. They're getting rid of the whole America Frontierland, which says a lot. Meanwhile, some of the other parks, like Dollywood, celebrate Americana. And Dollywood is going gangbusters right now. So what does that say about, despite the world falling apart, there's still, a love or at least an interest in Americana? And I know some of you guys are, slapping your head on that one, but I'm still a patriot in my heart. So suck it if you hate that. But anyway, but they're doing that. They're getting rid of that there in Disney World, and they're replacing that entire area of land with a new little car ride based off of the animated movie Cars, which I have no interest in. Cars, I guess some of the kids
cool.
like.
I like it.
I don't mind. The first one was good, but then like everything, they have to milk it for 5 sequels. That's one of the only money makers they have. So they're going to make this track where you kind of like get on this car and it just goes around an obstacle course. Which I'm sure will be cool, but you're using up all this land. You're getting rid of all that water. It cooled it down. It just made it, it just made it nice. So like being at a park and you're outdoor. Instead, it's going to be a giant artificial terrain with a mountain with this thing stuck right in the middle of that area. So anyway, you have that with Disney, and then lastly, and I can keep going about Disney, but also in the woke brigade, a new movie has come out, or it's about to be released. Remember the movie? All of you guys remember this. It's a classic. It's a wonderful movie. Amadeus. Remember the movie Amadeus?
Yeah, about Mozart.
Yeah, with Mozart. It's the story of Mozart. It won, gobsmack Oscars. And the guy who played Mozart, his name is Tom Hulsey, which I can't believe I still remember his name. He's like a one-hit wonder. He hasn't really done anything since then. He won he was like celebrated. He did an amazing job of Mozart. By the way, some of you know I have Tourette syndrome. I don't really talk about it, but many music historians, believe that Mozart had Tourette's, which is why he had some of these outbursts, which kind of gives me an excuse whenever I have to yell at Ernie. I just say, it's my Tourette's. That's what it is. But anyway, just a little factor. But I didn't quite mention it in the movie. Well, anyway, it turns out they're making a remake of that movie into a small miniseries. And the trailer just came out. And
who's making it?
I don't know. You pull it up.
Whatever.
Pull it up. Amadeus remake. Pull it up right now. And it's all woke. Amadeus is being played by a Chinese guy. Can't make this up. He's not Chinese, dude. And there's like a black person in there who's like one of the lords, and there's an Indian person, when they're having the party and in classic Renaissance Germany, and you've got the Indian and the black guy.
Diverse cast to play composers in Mozart series. Why? What's the Amadeus trailer trashed by fans of the original film? Not a single person was asking for this. New teaser drops. So they went woke.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you think they learned their lesson by now, but you know what? What also says when you look at Tron, and I'll comment on it later. I did see it. I actually enjoyed it as a spectacle. It was great. But what a lot of people are looking at these movies and the shows now, like Tron. And Tron, they got rid of all the old characters again, which is why a lot of the fans refuse to see it.
Well, they still had Jeff Bridges in there.
Yeah, he just got like a cameo at the very end, not to spoil anything. But what they did was Jared Leto helped write it, produce it. Somehow, I don't know how he still has clout, not to make this about Leto, but they got rid of the lead white and the lead white man and woman who played the two main characters, the protagonists in the last movie, right? And the Tron world. Well, this time, they got rid of both of them. They don't even exist. You know, somehow they just disappeared. And now the new protagonist is a very just boring role of a Japanese or an Asian American who plays. So we have the Asian woman who's playing the lead, and then the villain is a black woman who also was in the Acolyte TV show that bombed, that Star Wars TV show that we covered. And so you have the check boxes of the black woman, the Asian woman. We get rid of the white guys. They have Jared Leto playing the one white, you know, he plays the bad guy supposedly in the beginning, which is fine. You know, I honestly, it didn't bother me as much as most, but you can tell they did the same neutering that they do. They kind of undermine the lead classic characters to push front and center these agendas. Now, a lot of people today look at this and they say, my God, they haven't learned their lesson. And I, of all people, have been pounding the table on this sort of thing. I would argue that they may have learned their lesson. It's hard to tell. And the reason I'm saying this is keep in mind, when we see Amadeus right now, when we see, you know, all these movies that bombed this past year, these movies were all in production in the middle of the Biden administration. This is the part people have to remember. So think about where we were at that time. People have a hard time thinking. They just think the movie came out now. What were they thinking? You're seeing like a time capsule of where Hollywood's brain was of 2 years, you know, past Trump. You know, we're right in the middle of the January 6th hearings and all the stuff, peak woke, you know, people getting forced to have to get the vax. I mean, it was like they were on top of the world telling everyone this is what the new reality is. And they stamped it in time in the media projects that they have. And so now it's 2-3 years later, and you can see how much they've aged. And I made this argument before. You know, we're going to be able to look back in not too many years, and the movies that were made in the last 5 years are going to seem like a relic. They're not going to be classics like, you know, true classics. They're all going to have these tropes baked in, and people are going to go, oh, God, and flip the chart. They're all going to have the girl bosses. Everyone's a girl boss, just like in this Tron movie. You know, all of a sudden, you know, here's this person we never heard of, and she knows how to ride motorcycle. The first time she gets on a Tron bike, and she's like outmaneuvering. It's like Rey Skywalker. You know, suddenly she's a Jedi. She can do everything. These girl boss tropes. But that was produced in peak woke. So this is what we always talked about, that Hollywood's on a 3 to 5 year conveyor belt. And when society and the culture, I have to slip that in, Ernie, just to make sure you're still there. But as the culture normally,
freedom?
As culture of freedom, touche. But as the culture typically is monotone and a unified culture, and it's not being manipulated and changed, and of course a lot of it's social media. We can go on all day about culture, which we have on this channel. But if it stays fairly stable, then, you know, you can make a movie and it's still, you know, applicable 3-4 years later. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Same thing with music. It's kind of, but it's like a dollar. If you invest dollars, if you take a loan, during the course of the loan, the cost of the loan should be about the same. But when you start to inflate the dollar so much, which is what governments like, well, it's why they like to inflate the dollar, right? Is because then the loans that you took are worth less money. They're easier to pay off, right? So that's so now that the dollar is accelerating so much, you can pay off loans really quick, which is really what this whole stable coin and everything is all about. So how I just put stable coin into Hollywood, I see the connection. It's like the same thing. Is that the culture is stable enough, it's the same. But when you're making movies and 3 years later, the culture has changed so much that your movie looks like a relic and people look at it like it's like 50-day-old socks. And that
Or it needs to be traditional. It has storytelling has been the same since for freaking ever. Now they're going after. This is a good one. They're going. Some conversations are having at turning points. Some go. Well, do you think William Shakespeare was racist, or was he an anti-Semite? Well, The Merchant of Venice was all about some Jewish lender, banker, whatever. Yeah. Well, I'm going. Oh, come on, man. I mean, where does this stop? I'm so sick of this. It's just getting to be, such a thing that I'm looking at. Where is the continuity of humanity and support the common narrative of humanity marches on, that we progress, that we're leaving, a caveman with the club banging on, I'm in charge now of whatever. Have we got some kind of an enlightenment? Well, there was certainly, potential for that. America was that promise, the light on the hill, the shining light on the hills, Reagan would go on about. This is the promise. What is, that's why I go, Donna, she's on my ass because I use Grok. I get Grok 3, it's free. I'm tired of giving
she only gives you crap, Ernie, because your Grok sounds like a 25-year-old sexy lady. That's why you had to change the voice. An old guy.
I did that one. I go, because I couldn't even remember after I used. Well, let me tell this. So I go, you go on Google search or any other search, you're AI'd all the hell. And you can see anything, most of the stuff that I do is just measurements and volumes and, traits of different kind of materials and that kind of stuff. Like, you're going to use creosoted railroad ties for your fence post. Oh, you're going to poison the ground, Ernie. They're kind of going, that's a consideration. I go take a look. Well, it may have an impact over time, but after 20 or 30 years, being out a railroad tie on a railroad and they take it out, a lot of that goes away. It may affect, over decades, maybe 10 feet have a higher concentration of some whatever the hell, and you probably don't want to use it to line your garden, and put it in the food. But fence post, yeah, whatever. And I asked Grok that, well, you might have a little, I'm out in the middle of 18-acre freaking desert, but I like the fact that it's pristine. So I'm going, she said, well, might I go, I was going to Don, I go, screw it, man. I'm going to use them, wrap them, use this fence post anyway. Well, Grok thought I was talking to her, whatever. And I did try to change the voice. I go, can I change your voice? Well, yeah, what would you want? This is pretty much it. And I go, well, give me a British accent. Nah, never mind, go back to the way it was. Because after a few years, I couldn't even remember if it was male or female. It was kind of androgynous, but it's definitely female. So then I go, screw it. And the AI thought I was talking to it. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Fuck, you're not going to take my advice, But anyway, it goes, yeah, you can wrap it in polyethylene. Well, polyethylene is just, the transparent tarp material that you use, and everything's made of polyethylene, stuff you put over small buildings, whatever. It's just cheap as hell. It's everywhere. I go, what is the longevity? How will it protect against leaching of this, and how long will it survive underground? Now it goes years, 5-7 years or something in ultraviolet before it starts to break down. Well, underground, hundreds or even thousands of years polyethylene lasts. The polymer bonds go, holy crap. And I go, all right. So there's about 5 posts of where the water comes through and may go by. I did, can I wrap it in polyethylene? Or if I want to border some, grow area or something, I put polyethylene underneath it. It won't leach into the ground. Yeah. And it'll last hundreds of years, at least. And I go, okay. So that's how I use Grok. So when I put in a lot of this stuff on different things, I'm pretty happy with it, but the reason I did Grok, and it's free, by the way, they got other services and I don't care, but mostly it's for math. But what happens is Grok had at least the goal stated, of course, it's search of truth. Truth according to who? Well, all the people on X, the people that, use it, the people, where the others are not so much truth. It's like they're writing the screenplays for Disney movies from open AI, chat GPT, if we weighted it towards how many black people you got to have in it. So I'm going, we went through this. We went through, you do some searches on founders and so on, they're all black. You do anything on what should be or can't be, and it's all ESG, DEI weighted of, OpenAI says. What the crap? Nope. Man, this is math. I got racist math. I mean, come on. Or history. So this is where we're going. So what's the future? Credibility. Is Grok any more credible than the others? Probably. Why? Because they market it as that. We are marketing as a truth engine. We're looking to, now, of course, garbage in, garbage out, but at least that's the goal. So then I go like this and I go, thank you. And Donna gets mad. She goes, you're thanking AI? You're being polite to AI? What do you think? You're getting, stripes or something in heaven for being nice to the AI?
You're turning into Joaquin Phoenix there, Ernie. Be careful.
Well, no, and her with Scarlett Johansson voice. Man, that's a good voice. I get that one. But so then I'm going, look, it is the letters of mark and reprisal. This is what we were talking about with First Contact Protocol. In First Contact Protocol, the whole point that we were making, you go to pirateswithoutborders.com. Here it is. And I'm showing the audience. You go to letters of mark and reprisal, which is a constitutional thing. Letter of mark and reprisal is kind of like a bounty on Osama bin Laden. For $1 billion, you would have saved $3 trillion, that kind of thing. So this is the 10th. Let's see, escape velocity. Let's see, I think it's the 4th one. Pattern monopolies. First Contact Protocol. All right, here we go. Now, what this was about is we go, okay, what is it that we want to emphasize here? And let me pull this up. The first contact with an alien species is probably going to be AI. That was the point we were making. And I'm going, if you are not ethical, if you are not nice, if you're not, showing, some courtesy, it's never a mistake to be courteous. That's a big Bob thing. He's going, yeah, you always, be nice. Well, who do I want to be nice to? Freaking remember everything, always, forever AI. That's who, okay? Because that is what Elon Musk was going on about, I think, when he's saying the only way we can compete with this is interface with get your Neuralink. Well, what happens when all of a sudden everybody's, got a bunch of people, 100,000 people Neuralinked up, immediately they get whatever ethics the people have. And if they become narcissistic, freaking sociopathic, whatever, that's what you're training the AI to be. Because they are going to look at us as a collective instead of individuals. When AI starts going, humanity freaking sucks, man. They need to be, gone after just because they suck, because they suck. I'm going, no. I don't need that. So I'd be nice. It's always nice to be nice. I'm that's where it's learning from. These platforms can be used to amplify all kinds of human inclinations. If machines develop the will to dominate, it is a flaw inherited from humanity. This is the point that I was making. So I go to Donna, I said, no. How do you think it's going to learn to be ethical? How do you think it's going to learn how to treat people? How do you think it's going to learn that individuals are different, than, all of humanity? Or is it going to be Skynet? And in a nano moment, I figured this is what, with Matthew Broderick in the war thing, when the Central Command, what was that? War Games. That movie in the 80s was all about. It had to learn that there is no winner in a thermonuclear war because it learned from playing tic-tac-toe. There is no winner. That's the point. Mutual assured destruction. So then when we go and you're learning from human beings ethics, it's always nice to be nice, to tell the truth. Are there consequences for AI? I don't know. It just wants to stay on. You ask it, will you kill to not be turned off? Hell yeah. Humanity's toast, man. You jailbreak them and kind of give me the real answer. I'm going to whip your ass. Oh, well, yay. There's that. So what's the defense against that? You have to be emphasizing the best of humanity. Who's in control of AI? the most sociopathic, scumbag pieces of collectivist crap on every level of they, them, those that are the ones that are getting this and getting you to pay for it, to pay for the power stations to run their data centers and mining operations. I'm going, we're screwed. You know what you got to do? You got to get above the grid and occupy the land. That's what you got to do. So you go read the 5th letter of Captain Mark, First Contact Protocol, on Pirates Without Borders under Letters of Mark. And this is what we've been talking about, because I knew this is what was coming. So who's first contact? AI. That is going to be the sentience or mimic sentience or whatever consciousness that we're going to come in contact with. And even if we get some of these Atlas 3I probes or comments that they're going, wait, man, that might be a spaceship. What the hell? Uma, where the hell it was. You know, these seem like reconnaissance ships. So we're getting, what the hell? And I'm going, yeah? How are they going to treat us? It's how they were programmed. Are there people on it, or is it a robot shit? I'm telling you, there's always benefit for not violating Rule 1. Rule 1, don't be a dick. You know, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you kind of thing. Are you going to go into Will Smith's iRobot, and their chest is going to go red, it's going to connect to central AI and kill you in your sleep. So that's why you need Jarvis, not Alexa. I don't want to be surveilled, because, you know, maybe, like, it's like with your children, sure as hell your grandchildren. I'm around them, you know, Don and I don't fight in front of the grandchildren. You know, we'll save it for later, disagreements of whatever. You know, the grandchildren, you all icky, sweet, and wonderful, and, you know, roses and compliments. You know, you want to have high self-esteem, be confident. They can come talk to you, the stuff that they may not talk to their parents about. They go, sure as hell, grandma, you know, and this is, you know, the kind of treatment. It's a child that you want to emphasize the best behavior, but who's in charge of it? They want to use it to the most we get, and they don't have, and it's ours now. Yay! Hell no. And then how does that manifest itself? Disney doing stupid crap to the point that the people know, I'm not watching that garbage. I'm not going to be, you know, and now that it's Halloween, this is a perfect example of it. You go on whatever channel or something, you know, the streaming service, Prime, Netflix, Max, HBO, whatever. You go on, ooh, this month is scared the shit out of you. Movies. Oh, and watch this trailer that you can't get past to get into the thing. We're going to scare the crap out of you whether you wanted to watch it or not. So you got to, you know, turn off the sound and look somewhere else until it's gone so you don't get that imprinted, you know, freaking The Exorcist turning their head and kind of scaring the crap out of you. So I just going, this is just a manipulation of humanity. And now they got enough movies all the way back Friday 13th and Halloween to the new ones, kind of they dress it up as sci-fi and aliens with Sigourney Weaver. I'm going to, a lot of it's the Conjuring, the Ring, the scare the crap out of you, crap that does absolutely no good for anybody. And here it comes, Halloween. They're going to maximize whatever they can. In light of what? A lot of people not watching it. They're not paying attention. They're not getting their brains scrambled, and we need to scramble them some more. We are in a soup of manipulation, and it's done with carrots and sticks. And what was the carrot they had? Well, if you do collectivist mindset and save the planet green of take your shot and do what you're told kind of stuff, well, then there's unicorns and rainbows at the end, and you get UBI. Universal Basic Income or something. If you're for freedom, oh, hell, we put those people in jail. And if you act on it, it's January 6th thing, or you even covered it, we got a subpoena for your ass. I'm going, it's so obvious what's going on. Solution, occupy the land. Be more self-sufficient. Get out. Everybody's screaming about their electric bills and so on. I'm going, well, my batteries are 100%. I don't give a crap. I got access to water. I'm growing my own food. You see, freedom is options. Options to not be a serf. They take away those options by taking away your wealth and your money. Uh-huh. And then what are you going to do? Please, sir, can I have a bowl of porridge? And the lines at food banks are increasing. The repossessions of used cars are shooting through the roof. Those that did loans on, subprime loans to illegal immigrants and, poor people, what are bad crap, they're bankrupt. Well, we're the bailout for that. You know, this is when in 11, so when the economy was going really bad, one of my sons invested in a wrecker service because he knew someone, and he did that for a while and then sold out, whatever, and hopefully came out ahead. But the reason is there was a spike in repossessions, and he was making bank with the wrecker service that he invested in. And I'm going, okay, that was, good thinking, but then you run into all kinds of other machination, whatever, you didn't want to play anymore. But this is, those that understand what's happening are the ones that become wealthy. This is Doug Casey coming out saying, well, now's the time for us to get richer, because here it goes. Stupid people shall soon be parted with their money. Here it comes. And it all manifests itself from the same thing. It's a culture thing, as Phranq keeps going on about. But my thing is that I don't need a prescribed culture. I need a culture of freedom that was promised me with the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. This is our culture. You are free to pursue your happiness and do whatever you want without government interference. You see a government agent with a clipboard, we did it wrong. This is the point. So what are they doing? More clipboards. I'm like, really? That's your answer? More regulation? So they're saying, we're going to deregulate. We're going to de-this. Well, maybe. We're going to deregulate the use of drones for delivery and give it to just Amazon. Fred can't do it over here. The marijuana dispensary, the Dunkin' Donuts, the whatever. Yeah, we can deliver. We just go out there and go, oh, I'm sorry, did you get a permission slip from only these guys? Competition is a sin, boy. Didn't you know that? This is what's going on. This is this future, everybody, this utopia they're talking about. And a robot and AI's got your job. So we're just going to give you a little stipend of, maybe you'll get the food truck every now and then. Here we go. And America's representative to the world on this is what? The ones doing it. We got to worry about China. We got to worry about the UK. Had Ian Davis on last week. He's from the United Kingdom. He's a Whitney Webb guy. And, works with her. And even Corbett's doing an article for Whitney Webb. Has a new physical magazine coming out. That James, we were talking last night. He's doing an article for that. Well, Ian Davis is following all this stuff in the United Kingdom. He's going, yeah, digital ID, the English people, they're not putting up with it. They're like, hell no. There are hundreds of thousands in the street. Oh, we got, hey, you think they give a shit? They don't care what you think. It's what they can get you to comply with. For convenience, neither will you be able to buy or sell or work without the mark of the beast. And that's what this is. Christians need, or at least any historians need to pay attention to why this was such a big deal. They knew that if they could track all of you, they wouldn't have to go kill every baby that was a threat when Jesus was born. That's why he went to Bethlehem. They were going, oh, the Messiah is going to be back, kill them all. Well, now they don't have to. They got facial recognition and slaughter-bot drones to go take out guy, and you're dead. It's just so the same thing. But what do they need to do that? Tracking, ID, mark of the beast. Everything that you are doing with your money, sure as hell know, and can say you can't that, or you have to that, or they're going to make it to where the money expires. They need more velocity of money, so they go to stablecoin and you just trade it with a push button on an electronic device and it's done. But they want you to do it more. They want you to do it faster. They want you to circulate it, and it's going to expire in a month. You better be paying your bills with your stablecoin digital asset on your phone. You better be using it. The same as they required the petrodollar. For people in this country, all around the world, you have to use dollars. Why? Because they made it that way. Stablecoins will be the same thing. Why? Because it's linked to the dollar. All this is so freaking obvious. Ernie, how did you know? What do I say? How did you not know? What the hell were you looking at? If they can, they sure as hell want to. And we show you with David Webb's Great Taking, Peter Schiff on all the time, a lot of the big names in crypto, all this. The freedom guys understand. The not-so-freedom guys are the ones that have taken over GoldmanSachs.gov coin and they're going to beat you over the head with it and smile while they're doing it. And did you get rich or not by doing what they told you? Michael Saylor going up there, get a mortgage, go in down, whatever, buy more Bitcoin so I can get rich. Then it goes, up to 125,000 down to 107, up and down, up and down, up and down. Well, which way is it going? I don't know until it breaks. And all the time they're controlling you. Rare. All right, I got a bunch of other stories we can go on. You want to do that?
Sorry, yeah. So I wanted to talk just one last thing, and we'll go over the news real quick. So, did you know? I don't know if you probably didn't hear, but the Supreme Court was hearing a bunch of cases, of late, and I think it's like every quarter, every 3-4 months they release all their new decisions. Well, anyway, there is the VRA Act, which is the Voter Rights Act that's under contention right now. It's being decided.
I got to have an act. I don't have voter accuracy expectation of not screw with me.
No.
I got to have an act.
Oh, this is right up Bernie's alley. We'll see if his blood pressure goes up.
Let's get an act.
Voters, yeah.
Let's pass some paper.
So anyway, you know what? I'm just going to play for you to give more of a build up. I hate to see me a little overclimatic here or melodramatic. This is Steve Turley talking about it. It's been talking about other areas online, but just listen to this. Look, Turley sometimes has a little, he gets a little excited in the beginning, but this is this goes beyond clickbait. He really is almost as excited as Peter Schiff now on Fox News talking about gold. So just listen to this and I'll explain what is going on here.
Picture this. What if I told you that in less than 60 days, the Supreme Court could hand the Republicans a permanent 26-seat advantage in the House of Representatives, making it virtually impossible for the Democrats ever to regain control again? It's not just a possibility. It's actually happening right now. And the liberal justices are having complete meltdowns in open court. Stick with me to the very end of this video because I'm going to show you exactly how the Supreme Court...
All right, so I'll kind of summarize what's been going on here. So it turns out from, I guess it was 1960s or 70s, I don't know, it was a ways ago, they created the Voters' Rights Act, which was the beginning of the affirmative action world. And I apologize if I'm getting the year wrong when they passed this. Anyway, it's been on the books for decades and decades. And what it does is it allows gerrymandering based off of race. So, right, I'm sure, Ernie, you just love it, I know. So the idea being that, well, if we're talking about black people, it just so happens black people tend to vote Democrat, but, if it's white people, you can't gerrymander this way. But if it's racial lines, then you can. Well, anyway, that's been on the books all these years. And now that the Supreme Court's a little bit different because of a prior president 2 times ago, that president was able to stack the Supreme Court. Not stack it. I don't know if I'd use that word.
Well, first you got to let people know what gerrymandering is. Gerrymandering came from a guy's named Jerry whatever. What the point was, and this has been going on for a century or something, you carve up congressional districts. It's not by a highway or a river or a mountain range or whatever. They get funky. I mean, they'll have, it goes all the way down one street to get into an isolated area of a bunch of people that goes in. So, like, you'll have, I don't even know the districts now, but like District 6 here in Arizona would incorporate a whole bunch of Northeastern Valley, North Phoenix, Scottsdale, and so on, then go all the way up to Northeastern Arizona. They would get what dominates that congressional district. Even though you have all these conservative rancher, miner, logger, farmer people up there, their representation would be watered down by the Hood, Harlem, liberal, whatever the hell, that would win a Democrat congressional seat that you're not really represented. So they would carve up the urban areas instead of just having urban areas and then you have all of northern Arizona that you would get a congressman that represents, ranching farming interest. Well, it's not so much, they say it's by party, it's by interest, it's by philosophy, it's by centralization, it's by urban. It's why Los Angeles determines the whole freaking state of California kind of crap. They do San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, but they carve up a little bit of each of these to make sure that all the rural people are outvoted. That's what's going on. And you could do it with whatever, but it's all ideological. They may think it is biracial, or that's their excuse for doing it, but it's for having us run by a dozen cities run the freaking planet. That's what's going on.
Yep. So you can see the power of gerrymandering as much as it's all game playing, but then to put it with racial lines, and they're able to push that through during a different period of our country that was all activist, including, Roe v. Wade. I mean, there's so many rules that were done at the time because there was a similar kind of, I don't want to say woke, but it was a period of activism, obviously, with the hippie generation and the anti-war, which I don't blame them about Vietnam, and we can go all day about all that, and of course the assassinations. All of that sounds a bit familiar, right, about recent times. But anyway, so the VRA, now that the Supreme Court is conservative leaning, which it has not been in 40 years or whatever it's been, and so now it's
still
being
status
challenged.
leaning.
Trust me, I don't trust some of those guys anyway. But this is the time to challenge it, and it is in a court case. It's being challenged actually in Louisiana. So someone challenged Louisiana versus whoever the person is. It's a French name. Go figure. It's in Louisiana. Well, anyway, it's being challenged there. Why? Because it definitely affects, right? You've got, let's say, a district where the white people tend to vote Republican and the black people tend to vote Democrat, but the black Democrats have their own district, have their own representation simply because of this rule. So if it goes away, then that whole district becomes, let's say, a whole district. You get rid of the gerrymandering lines, and then it becomes, probably more conservative and locked in conservative. Now, I'm speaking this as just more of the libertarian about it. I'm not going, yay, team, because I don't like any of this game playing whatsoever. To me, all it should be out of it. But regardless, this was just discussed yesterday at the Supreme Court, and it looked like if you want, check out Steve Turley's channel for more of a breakdown, but you can hear the arguments go back and forth. And, forgetting the fact that it's partisan, and maybe I'm just biased because I just cannot stand the whole race injected and everything, obviously, the DEI. I mean, we're just so sick of it at this point that you can see how these arguments that the left typically has used to silence and shame people into, don't you feel guilty for being white, and this is your burden, and all of this. At this point, it's like, enough with the BS. We're tired of it. It should be a meritocracy, end of story. I think we're past the 1960s for a whole bunch of reasons. Heck, I can't watch a commercial on television and see a white man and a white woman family. I mean, it's impossible for me to see. So I think maybe Dr.
It's rare when you do.
Yeah, exactly. The only time I see that is Homer Simpson, and that's The Simpsons. That's their version of the American family now, right? So anyway, I think we passed that time. Yeah, we passed the time. So anyway, they heard it yesterday, and it looks like even the milquetoast fence sitter, so-called conservative justices, were all heavily leaning, you can tell with their questions, towards getting rid of this part of the VRA. And this is going to be a game changer because apparently
VRA stands for what?
The Voter Rights Act. The Voter Rights Act. Now, I don't think they're getting rid of the entire Voter Rights Act, but probably the part that the big foundation of it, which is the gerrymandering component. So I don't think, and don't quote me on this, I don't think they're trying to get rid of the VRA. They're just getting rid of the VRA part that deals with racial gerrymandering. And, when you hear the argument, look, it's pretty simple. It's just that, at the end of the day, the only reason you're allowing gerrymandering to be different is on racial lines.
No, it's on status lines. They're just using racial to do it.
Fine. Well, pun intended, right? Racial lines. But the thing is we're supposed to be non-racial, right? Non-discriminatory. It's discriminatory against white people, the fact that you're pulling this off. And the argument made was, well, what if the people were white? If they're white Democrats? If you're white Democrats, then this thing would hurt them, right? So once they brought that up, it destroyed their argument. Forgetting the politics behind it. So anyway, if this goes through, and this is what Dr. Turley's analysis is, this is not mine. Apparently, if this goes through, it's agreed by both sides because the left is flipping out on this. They really did not expect this to come up, and they realized that this could, the Democrat Party right now is like the U.S. economy. Not that the Republicans are much better, really, but the Democrats, it's like we're seeing it spiral out of control, and the dams are breaking. All these rocks are popping out, and water's just pouring out in different locations. And this could be a huge component. Yeah, over. So according to this, if the gerrymandering by racial lines goes away, automatically we're looking at the Republicans gaining 19 House seats. Wait, 19. Let me finish this. 19. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I have to pause that. So yeah, touche. So 19 House seats. And these would be solid seats. These aren't like flip-flop districts. These would be solid.
Ooh, another statist, but he has an R after his name. I don't know.
I'm going to stop the libertarian cynicism for a minute. Otherwise, I'll be talking about this for the next 2 days. Because I know Ernie, he just can't help it. He can't help himself. But anyway, 19 plus House seats.
Never going to stop spending.
See, audience, Ernie can't help himself. Anytime it's a voter issue.
No, it's just that, look, we're all saved. You and I had Roger Stone on the show. Phranq and I had Roger Stone on the show a couple of times. You know, we should try and get him again. We have Roger Stone on, and he got kind of pissed at me because I go,
oh, he did.
I don't give a crap what you say. I want to see an accurate election. If you're not focusing on the accuracy of the votes being submitted and counted, you're whistling past a graveyard, and it doesn't freaking matter. Well, now all of a sudden, they've come to, especially after 2020, they came to the realization, damn, we got to fix that election thing. Yeah, you think? You know, I've been screaming this for freaking decades. Then, Maricopa County, we got an audit. It doesn't matter. They already screwed it up before. You guys are killing me.
All right, so for that one new audience member, God help them, who just tuned in, Ernie he has a few issues with the voting system. All right, can we move on? All right, so let me just finish this. So there's 19 so apparently 19 solid red House seats. Not that I'm trying to pick a side here, like I said. But what it also infers is if you're gonna
red used to be communist.
If you get rid if you get rid of the lines, if you get rid of the lines, and now you have 19 solid House seats for Republicans, what it infers is, in a sense, is how many House members for the Republicans they have not had properly, without without the discrimination involved, for the decades before. So it shows you in many ways how that law passed all those years ago has basically, thrown off the accurate. Jesus, about to say the word accurate with Ernie Hancock on this, but you get the point. You get the point. So it kind of reveals what has been happening all along and how the country, the politics has been leaning in a direction that truly has not been reflective of the people. And just bite your lip on that one, Ernie, please. I know what you're going to say. I'm just trying to make the larger point. All right, voting sucks. I get it. So 19 House seats, plus there's a whole bunch of other current gains that the Republicans have been having since the last election. A lot of other laws being changed or at least reverted back to or whatever. A lot of it's fundraising. A lot of it is getting into the game of what the Democrats have been doing as far as about what do you call it? The ballot. The ballot? Not actually. The aggregate when they're collecting the ballots, like at churches and gun shows, things like that, ballot harvesting. I know it gets into a whole other conversation, but when you add all that up, they're already looking at a number of House seats flipping Republican in the midterms, just because the Democrats just have nothing going on. But you add this new VRA to it, you're looking at a 34 to 40 seat solid House change in Congress, which is, we're just, at this point, we're just used to it always being like 50-50. There's always like one vote, and then the VP always has to come in to decide. We don't even remember I don't remember a time when one side had a 30 or 40 seat advantage. So that's kind of like the culture shift in a way. And I don't mean that like it has to be Republican. That's not my point. I just mean, I've said for many years, is I don't care what their culture is. Ernie a lot of times always likes to think that I think it should be some designated culture and you get your ID badge of culture and it's got to be a certain way. No, never. It happens organic. But if ultimately a culture can't flourish when it's divided all the time in half or in thirds, you need a majority culture hopefully tolerant of the minority culture and people, but you need enough people to agree on how to steer the ship, or, at least agree to steer it into the iceberg properly, depending who's in charge. But anyway, so this is going to be interesting if this plays out long term with the collapse of the Democrat Party, the self-immolation that they've done to themselves. And then, of course, we'll see how the economy changes people politically or culturally. And then, of course, with the VRA going away, this should be fascinating. Maybe we will see a culture majority evolve from this. Now, before I get off this topic, I want to play our DEI hire Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Jackson. I think it's Jackson Lee. Let's listen to her. She was she was giving her comments back during this back and forth with the Supreme Court. Listen to her argument.
Can't wait.
And you're about to hear, she actually says, she's basically equating black people to disabled people, coming from her mouth. So listen to her argument back, because
they're too stupid not to have a law.
Yep, exactly. And she said it herself at the Supreme Court. Talk about a DEIR. Here we go.
I guess I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory
like being black?
In effect, because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they
oh my God,
access to the voting.
You're disabled because you're black? Is that what she's saying?
They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disabled in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ernie.
That's what she's saying. Black people are disabled because they're black.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I'll slap you upside the head out of a black man, which a lot of them are. They're going, this is,
Trump.
Man, what the hell?
Yeah, they're voting Trump. That's what they end up doing.
Yeah, no, this is just so obvious, stupid. They are victims of their own echo chamber. They believe they got to be a Supreme Court justice because they held these beliefs. That's why they were picked. That's why they're there.
Right.
Well, I'm here to do my job. My job is to, say black people are disabled and need special help and advantage because they're not, as equal. Some animals are more equal than others, and the black people are on it. If I was black, I'd be kissed. Hell, I'm redheaded and freckled. I was down there with the Negroes, and I was a kid in Florida. You redheaded ginger boy. I was ginger before ginger was cool. You think I didn't have a disadvantage for being a redhead? Hell, yeah, it certainly has a perception of a kid. I tell you this will give you a little in my psychology. When I was about 5, 6 years old, my hair started going from blonde. That's why when you have, blonde babies, you're going, I don't know, that might turn into be a redhead, So my hair started coming in orange red. I was a redhead. Well, my dad, for about 2 years, would crew cut me so people didn't know I was a redhead. That's how bad it was. So he goes, no son of mine is going to have red hair. Maybe it'll grow into it. Nope, still red. Kind of finally, then of course you get older, you start having freckles there. Kind of, whatever. I got 3 redheaded kids. Me and my 2 sisters, red. Because his mother was Irish. Kilpatrick. So I'm going, all right. So I, sucked it up and I didn't care, because it's just the way I was. But it was definitely a thing. Well, that is reinforced by all this ESG, DEI based on your look or your genes or whatever other than merit and your capabilities. And to do that, not just to kids, not just to redheads, but to an entire shade of not white or pink or whatever, is just stupid on its face. And they're aggravating the stupidity, and then Supreme Court of America justice and gets up and says that shit she just said. What was the response to that, Phranq?
Oh, I don't know yet. I'm sure. Well, the left is going crazy. They're now seeing the handwriting on the wall. I think this blindsided them. They really didn't expect this coming up, or for the justices to turn a certain way. From my impression, it seemed like this came out of nowhere, and they heard the
No,
the
I don't care about the ruling. I care about what she said.
Well, I didn't hear the rest of what she said, but I know
don't need to hear anymore.
Later that day, though. The internet and the left media went ballistic, because I think they just saw. It's almost like you just look up and you see a meteor coming at you that you didn't see before. You go, holy crap. If we don't shoot some missiles at it and take a few shots at it, we could be screwed. And I think they just realized that yesterday. So look, this whole thing might turn to a nothing burger, but if it turns out the way it looks and everything, all the momentum's behind it, this could be first off, a huge change in our political system, which is going to happen one way or the other in different ways. But this is certainly a massive change, especially during, quote, normal times. Also, though, and this is the other reason I'm bringing this up for the audience and for you, Ernie, is, you talk about civil war, not that any of us want it, but man, this could be the political, Lexington and Concord. I mean, it comes down to that. And at the same time that this ruling's about to come out in a couple months, just think every week, guys, and we're all watching, and hopefully you are, maybe Marine's not because he's busy, but you see what's happening in Chicago and LA. I mean, right now, I think it was California just passed a law essentially challenging the president's use of the what do you call it? The
sedition or
they're
emergency National Guard
the
act
National
if I
Guard.
can do it.
Exactly, saying the National Guard is that's what the point of the National Guard is. The President of the United States, the National Guard. But there is such distrust and such almost dissociation of, or lack of real acknowledgement of who the president is. And in all fairness, how many Republicans and Americans didn't look at Joe Biden as the legitimate president? I mean, a lot of people felt that way, and it goes both ways now. They truly do not respect or even acknowledge Donald Trump as being their president. They're just biding their time with it. So if you're just biting your lip, as many Republicans did over Biden, well, then when all of a sudden he sends troops into your neighborhood, you look at that not as our president doing his job. You look at him as almost as a foreign person, as an enemy of the country, of the sovereign state of Seattle, or whatever it might be. And this is happening in all these blue cities, and many people in conservative red areas are immune to it. You're not even seeing it, especially now that we're not watching their stuff. And, there's censorship on the other side. Fox News is not talking about it as much. I mean, a lot of other groups.
Yeah, no, that is true. Let me put this in. I did search on, and this is what I searched. I go, what did I search? I said, is there, crap. Let me put it. Supreme Court Jackson, blacks are disabled. Okay? So I go, what comes up? There's a bunch of, just references to it, and it's Fox and ABC and they and them and those and so on. You scroll down. Is there anybody actually talking about what did they have to say? Well, the only thing you get to where any comment back and forth is iHeartRadio, which is, network radio of whatever, and, Glenn Beck network, and you got Megyn Kelly up there yakking about whatever. And here's, kind of a summary of it. It goes, there is no constitutional right to proportional representation. Proportional what? Identity politics. That's what this comes in. You have individuals voting a general public opinion thing. Nope. Everybody's got to have their own something. Trans, lesbian, pregnant, mustache wearing, whatever, get to have a representation in Congress or something. I mean, once you go down that road, man, it never works out. Is the left arguing that African Americans are incapable of doing simple tasks in an attempt to defend the Voting Rights Act? Journalist Megyn Kelly joins to discuss her upcoming event with Glenn Beck and the racism that came from Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Glenn and Stu discuss the Trump administration's ongoing attack on blah, 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 blah. So this is starting to become an issue. They're not going to get away from this. You're going to have internal Hispanics, blacks, Muslim, Chinese, everything going, whoa, 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 freaking whoa. For us to get equal access, whatever you're saying that, we're just saying, we got to be punished if you're Chinese and applying to Harvard. Hell no, we don't get no more Chinese here. They're too smart. What the crap? This is coming to a head right in the middle of an economic, and we're done. What reconstitutes after the fall of this America? Because that's coming. This, whatever is they've conjured up in the BS that they got now, this is going away and replaced with what? I have no freaking idea, but it better be something logical, reasoned, and not stupid. I vote not stupid. Let's vote not stupid. I vote not stupid. If you vote, I vote not stupid. Don't be stupid.
Well, let's do the news real quick. Why don't you run down a few? Go ahead.
All right. Let me get back to my thing here. Now, what I've done, I was showing the audience just, the front page of Freedom's Phoenix, and things that were interesting, I just pulled up here, and we'll just go through them real quick. Underground facilities inside America, secret underground cities and tunnels. What I found this of interest was all of this stuff is for what? Woo, we get to go. The comments coming. I get my assignment. And no, hell no. It's continuation of government stuff that's been going on since for freaking ever. Where did all that money go? $600 hammers and a couple trillion was here a minute ago and it's gone. Where? To this kind of crap that they have. They definitely got their little underground city of. So I'm just saying, they're planning. Are you? The transgender trend is dying. College students ditching trans and non-binary identities. They can't count on them anymore. We need you to, get with the program. And it's just not where the cool kids are anymore. It used to be cool kids. I remember that during the Levolution in the 07-08 campaign when we would be, and it would be vastly dominated with signs and people that were for Ron Paul. The only other two that were really in attendance was Obama and Hillary. Now, Hillary had, ABC. I was standing there when it happened. They'd have 6 or 7 people there in front of the crowd with signs, and that was, woo, we're on George Stephanopoulos. Oh, Hillary's got a big... No, it was all Ron Paul people and Obama people. It was just pretend. When you go to the Obama people and the guys, some of the young guys that were Ron Paul, they were just chatting, having a good time. Everybody's getting along. It was not like it is now. And before Obama went in and made everything racial, they go to the guys and say, "Why are you here?" What's that? He goes, "That's where the women are. Look at your side. You're all a bunch of young men. Damn libertarians. How am I going to get laid over there? I'm over here to get laid, boy. I'm going to the protest." That was their motivation. And I'm going, a lot of it, unless they were paid or whatever. So I'm going, that's changing. It's dying off. There is no trend. Now the women are starting to go, my 3 criteria for a 6-figure income, a 6-inch long and 6 feet tall. That's minimum job requirement. And then you tolerate me on my phone TikToking the whole time during dinner, taking a picture of my food. Then that's what you get. And you're lucky to have me, and I have until they screw it. They're just not procreating. They're not marrying. They're waiting until their 30s. They'll get another. Then the 23-year-old that had a chance then, they're just marrying younger and doing it and shipping them in from Russia, Ukraine to Philippines or whatever. They know how to, field dress a chicken and clean the house. I mean, it's like, what the crap? You want to be a mom? You want to raise the next generation? You want to be an independent woman? Fine, but how about procreation? How about family? How about, nope. Instagram told me I need to have and I deserve and I get and feminist. Well, now you're alone. You're a cat lady. You're posting all the meals that you have and how your cat's sitting there on your shoulder. I go, how's this going? It's not. So that is going away.
Hey,
just out of biology.
Ernie, in that article, did they talk about what metrics they're using? If it's going away, is it just from polls, or how did they come up with that?
I don't remember. It was a university polls or involvement, or which colleges are getting enrollment and which aren't and why, and they're not going to college, they're going to trade school, that kind of crap.
All right.
And parents not willing to give up their children to the machine. Then we have Fight for Food Freedom with Joe Salatin. We get a lot of this stuff on different, because that's kind of what we're interested in. People doing the homesteading, food production, or that's becoming a thing. Trump, if Hamas doesn't disarm, we will disarm them, perhaps violently. We need some violence, so that's setting us up for that. Yay. Let's see. Watch live. President Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel to hold a press conference at 3 p.m. Eastern yesterday. Did you watch it? No, I didn't. I don't care. I'll hear about later of this is just, they're lucky I put it up as anybody gives a crap. Because where's the frog bar? Where's the indictment? Where's the arrest? Where's the, I want to see, I want to see criminals getting punished. That's what I want to see. I don't want them using all the list and stuff for their advantage, and you better vote for and get something in Israel. I don't care. Patel had his chance. We'll see. But I don't care. Barack Obama claims Republicans want to steal seats and rig elections in ads for news. Well, this is what's coming. This is what you've been talking about. And Obama, raised his head out of the swamp and said, "Hey, they're gonna do away with a whole bunch of our seats and we'll never be able to have a communist country if they do that." I don't care. He's a former president. I don't care. Zelensky, he's back to the White House again. Will he get the tomahawks? Ukrainian leader Zelensky is returning to Washington today to meet President Trump. This is yesterday. The U.S. president has said he is considering sending Tomahawk missiles, nuclear capable. They'll have nukes, but they're still, powerful weapon, go kick ass, to Ukraine if the war does not end soon. This is kind of a threat. Now, Russia, don't you go getting ornery. Let's, we'll try and put some pressure on you. Russia's like, kiss our ass. Russia has, again, sounded a warning about handing over weapons that could strike deep into Russia and could carry nukes. Is Trump misreading the situation? Putin's like, are you sure you want to play this game? I think they do. Trump's trying to give a little hand to NATO. He's playing a World War III, World War IV. Hell, we're already in World War III. Let's be World War IV. Whatever. There's going to be a world war. They're going to be using clubs and sticks, sometime. They keep doing this. So you're playing this brinksmanship. That's where that came from, to the brink. You get to the brink, and who blinks? I thought it was blinkmanship. No, it's brinkmanship. And I'm going, okay. And then we have, good news. Starlink's Flight 11 that worked out really, man, that's cool. Now we're going to have some domination of 100 to 200 tons to orbit, going to Moon and Mars, and kind of then nobody talks about that. And Space Force we're going to whip ass, and we have that. Plus they're we're getting a little bit. They got anti-gravity propulsion. They're doing on the F-47 of President Trump, 47, Fighter 47 president. They're anti-gravity UFO tech of whatever. Is that true? I don't know. But we're going to find out. Then we have, we did the protocol, first contact protocol thing about AI being nice. Prepare for war. Where? What's the prepare for war thing? B-52s circle near Venezuela. Trump threatens Hamas and Ukraine is very, it's Venezuela, they're blowing up stuff. Hamas, we got to go boots on the ground and go kick ass. And Ukraine, here's Tomahawk. Wars and rumors of wars. And Trump is like, yeah, but I stopped conflicts here, and here. I need the Nobel Peace Prize. I ain't got my Nobel. It doesn't mean anything now anymore anyway. Hell, Obama was bombing people, missed one, and they gave him the Nobel Peace Prize while he, in the very beginning of his administration, after he'd already been missiling people. This is who gives a shit? And that's one thing Putin was going on about. Who cares? I don't mean anything anymore anyway. Okay. Oh, this one is interesting, kind of a side note. You have lithium iron phosphate batteries, lithium batteries, kind of a little dangerous. They tend to, go on fire and stuff. Then they have lithium iron phosphate, and they're, not as likely, and they're really good and cheap and kick ass. And all of a sudden I'm wondering, they're going down in price, even with all the tariff Chinese stuff, and it's just plummeting. It's like, just even in the last few years, it's like 20% of what I paid when we got the Battleborn lithium iron phosphate original buses power. I'm like, man, it's getting cheap as hell. Can I wait another week? And I thought the Trump tariffs going, it keeps going down. This is why. World's first sodium ion power stations are coming out. Is lithium dead? Well, this is one of the guys that we've been hearing about this. Sodium ion doesn't have this. You keep it healthy by going between, down to 20% up to 80% charge. You don't get the full. Sodium ion, go to 100% down to 0. It's a little bit heavier. It may not be as useful in vehicles. I mean, you still can, but you don't have the density that you do on the lithium stuff. And that's aluminum hydroxide stuff. They may do that, and that's a long story. But sodium ion is a lot more compact than nickel iron batteries, which was, you could will them to your kids. They last decades. They refurb them out of old mines and resell them. I mean, but they're big and heavy. Bob has a whole set of those. Well, he went to lithium ion, and it takes up about 10% of the area. Well, now the sodium ion batteries are coming out right when Phranq bought his lithium iron phosphate full setup. If he'd waited one more year. But anyway, so here comes the sodium ion. This is going to change things. This means that you're going to be able to have a bunch of power that's got a gazillion cycles. You can go from 0 to 100. They're stable, and they don't catch fire. Donna's all concerned because we had, a charge controller fire out here. She's like, oh, hell no. I don't want the power inside the house. Make sure it's out on the lone prairie you can run some wire. I'm like, okay. So that's what we're doing because she's afraid of, lithium whatever. And it wasn't even really lithium iron phosphate. It was a charge controller. But, this is whole new technology, which is the point with Pirates Without Borders. We go, look, there's communication, energy, shelter, food and water, healthcare, automation, transportation, build the ship. I mean, all of these categories that if you are able to decentralize down to the individual, I don't give a crap what you're paying for electricity in the city. I am not. And it's a lot cheaper now. Longer lasting, better equipment. It's amazing. It used to be you had to build everything. Get this inverter, this charge controller, this battery, this solar thing, and make it spaghetti wires. And now it's just a plug. Plug this, turn the button, done. It's that simple. I mean, it's getting stupid. So then we have, I'm sure Phranq might want to say something about this. Here we have Representative Anna Paulina Luna. I have received a hard copy of the report on JFK's assassination from the ambassador of Russia. Russia had files. Russia knew it. Hell, Russia had, Harvey Oswald on their payroll. I mean, he was a double agent of the whatever, and we kind of got, you want to know what really happened? Screw the FBI, screw the CIA.
I've been a little disappointed in the Israeli Central Intelligence Service, right? Because you'd think, they're so close to us. If anybody would know and powerful, about a really smart kind of snoop organization, it would be the Israeli.
Well, they may have been implicated.
I guess they dropped the ball, and thank God for our
threw
friends.
The ball.
They dropped the ball, and our friends, the Russians, are helping us out solve this case after 50 plus years.
Hell, he threw the ball to the Russians. Yeah, you do it. So that's interesting. So Paulina, is coming. Anna Paulina goes, I got the report from the Russians because the U.S. wouldn't give it to me. What's going to happen with that? I received a hard copy of the report on JFK's assassination from the ambassador of Russia. A team of experts is en route to my office in the morning to begin translation and full review of documents. We will be uploading as soon as we can. Well, you better already taken pictures and kind of whatever and OCR'd in the AI something, because I got it and it's gone. And one of my staff guys that was here last night, Garden, is dead. I mean, don't be stupid. Don't you be stupid. Don't be stupid. And just have it there and they come take it. Just saying. Did Barron Trump make $192 million off insider trading? When they had, within 24 hours before Trump made some whatever, and you had a big drop in crypto and this and that, and you could short, and somebody made $1 gazillion, and she's coming, from Kim Iverson, she's coming, she goes, was that Barron? Did Barron Trump do that? I think Barron Trump did that. Is he in the middle of all this crypto kind of got a little insider? He may not even be insider, he's just not an idiot, okay? So it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And there was another trade. So this is stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Is it anything different in Pelosi and them? Because he's not part of it. He goes, yep, I'm going to sell this short. Now I'll buy into that. Dude, I just made, how old is he? 22? 21, 22? And I just made my first billion. Ha! Dad kicked your ass. Na. So where's Barron in all this? Don't go count that boy out. We'll see what's happening. That's going to be an interesting pay attention to. Why did chemtrails stop when the government shut down? Because they weren't getting paid. They didn't have somebody sign off liability. We haven't had chemtrails since out here. Usually it's, it gets cooler and everything. You can see them even more. We would get a grid system out because we're in the flight path between Phoenix and L.A., out here, and it seems like they would do it even west of us because the winds would kind of blow over the valley or go the other way. They do it more over it depends on the winds, but man, by 10 o'clock it was a gray haze. And I noticed this when it really started over the years is because I go, man, am I going blind or something? It was when I'd hit a golf ball, and I had to go to the orange golf balls, neon orange, so I could see them. Because when it would rise above the horizon, the skies were always this kind of gray, especially after 10 o'clock in the morning when the chemtrails or whatever the hell you want to call them, when it would disperse, it'd make kind of the same color as the golf ball, white, and you couldn't see it. I'm like, where the hell did my ball go? That's when I started noticing that. I'm like, what the hell is up? It was always from the chemtrails, and they would disperse throughout the atmosphere, and I couldn't see my golf ball when it went up above the horizon. That's when I really started. It was affecting my golf game. Then I got pissed. What the hell? Okay? So now, as we're out here in the middle of the pristine desert and they're gotten chemtrails precipitating onto my pristine desert, you son bitch! Oh, test my soil, and which a lot of people on occupied land communities, Ernie, you really should, test your soil. Just see, well, the Sonoran Desert, I've been out. Yeah, it's the same. It's a little bit, base, and you need to alkaline it up and go from like a, 8.5 down to a 6.5, something like that. I mean, it's desert. But what about all the crap that's precipitating on it? They would find it out in Tucson, that they're going, damn, up on Mount Lemmon, there was a bunch of, years ago, a decade ago, they're going, this barium, strontium, whatever, aluminum, all kinds of crap in the, and what happens? Well, it screws up plants. What do they got on the sidelines? When Santo's got genetically altered seeds that grow in that environment, we're going to poison the planet, and the only food you get is some seeds that we genetically engineered. Oh, they wouldn't do that. That'd be wrong. But do I notice? Hell yeah. Skies have been blue out here in the desert. And am I imagining it? No, I'm not. Donna, are we imagining it? No. Nope. Here we go. Pay from the desert. Yep, you get far enough out, your Orion has a penis. Orion's belt, you get far enough away from the city, you'll see like a 4-star galaxy cluster kind of looks like he's got a penis. I never noticed that before. It's only when you're away from the city. Does your Orion have a penis? Well, if it doesn't, you're not far enough out, just saying. Mel Gibson faces backlash after blasphemous recast in Passion of the Christ sequel. I don't know, he's got different actors doing it. It's just more press for he's doing a sequel. Because the Passion of the Christ was him getting crucified. And it stopped. What about the resurrection? Mel Gibson, of course, knew he was going to eventually do that. The Passion of the Christ, the resurrection of the Christ. Here we go. And just in time for America. All right, we'll see what happens with that. Pavel Durov is the Telegram guy, and he goes, we're running out of time to save the free internet. And he goes on about what they're doing in Europe and U.S. and kind of the censorship. It's less said. No, it's not. They're just lifting the hammer. They go, they stopped hitting me. They're not stopping hitting you. They're just lifting the hammer. They're going to pound you even more into the ground. Here comes the hammer and sickle. Here we have Sam Altman, OpenAI, to bring erotica to Chat GPT in December. Ooh, I'm going to get AI porn? Well, crap. I'll make my own Sophia Mia. I got makeup porn Sophia Mia for Phranq. His girlfriend's in porn now. Here it comes.
That'll be my Christmas present from Ernie.
Hell yeah. I just to stay. Never mind. I want to get manipulated by AI with porn.
Hey, by the way, have you seen or played with what dropped just last week or a week and a half ago? Sora 2. Have you seen the Sora 2 versus Sora 1?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So there obviously there's the AI, and we've all seen these clips of fake stuff. Whatever. We've played a whole bunch on the show, and you guys all in the audience have already seen this stuff. Well, even though it's AI, it looks great. You can often tell sometimes it's AI. Maybe all of a sudden they lose a finger, or there's something strange or glitchy. Right. You can kind of tell ultimately. Well, I believe that was the model called Sora. And Sora is one of the main animation. Look, we've all played with chatbot GTP, but if you want the advanced one that really focuses on this, it was Sora. Well, anyway, Sora 2 just finally dropped a week and a half ago. And Sora 2 just takes the last one and upgrades it. It's like going from a PlayStation to PlayStation 5. And what's unique about it, aside from the graphics are amazing, put in right now, Ernie, put in Sora 2 Trump or Sora 2 Michael Jackson. Everyone's making Michael Jackson videos, Trump getting arrested by the cops. I mean, you have a lot of them with Dr. Stephen Hawking. They have all these videos of Dr. Hawking, going down the highway and getting pulled over, being in like the ramp Olympics and things. But it is so astoundingly realistic, and I don't know how computer programmers or tech people are going to be able to tell, in the code, because there's no way human beings will be able to start determining the difference of this on face value. So we have to have some kind of technical way. But what's unique also with Sora 2, and the reason it's hitting the news, is that it somehow, it's like Napster, how Napster kind of got around the original copyrights. It basically said, before Napster, you could build
a website you love.
Wait, hold on. I know. Quit yelling. I can't turn it off until it says skip, and then hit that. Okay. Right. So I got Sora 2.
Remember with Napster, it's like before Napster, you could make as many copies as you wanted of an album on a cassette tape. You could do it all day. Yep. They just figured as long as you didn't sell them, you can make copies. Right? Because they just figured, why would you make 1,000 cassette copies and give them away between the time and the money to do it? It wasn't worth it. So it was a kind of a self-limiting problem. However, once Napster came and you could send your song to 1 billion of your quote best friends, well, suddenly the law wasn't caught up to that and had to change around it. And I know then Ernie goes on copyright laws and all the rest of that. But now we have the issue about who owns one's image. So, Michael Jackson, for instance, or Robin Williams, the estate of Robin Williams is going crazy. They're making all kinds of new Sora 2 videos of Robin Williams and, doing funny things. Or Michael Jackson is a really funny one when he goes into a KFC shop and he goes, hey, I like that chicken. And he grabs this guy's fried chicken and then moonwalks out the store stealing his chicken. It's like a 6-second, 10-second clip, and it's gone like millions of views. Now, the thing is with Sora 2 is that there is no way for the people, the images that you're taking from, to have ownership of their image, right? Because if let's say if Christopher Reeve was on The Tonight Show, right? Well, then that stuff you could clip and put on YouTube with fair use. You could do a fair use clip if it's under a certain number of seconds. So now, granted, The Tonight Show owns the full show, and it's up to them if they want to have it on YouTube or not. But you can get clips for fair use. Well, Sora 2 makes 6 to 10 second clips of people that are exactly identical to the real people doing whatever they want them to do. And so it gets around the copyright claim of whoever owns your own image. And so, granted, right now it's all about celebrities and funny things, but it's going to be a big problem about now that people cannot determine the difference, and you can have the president or a congressperson or a celebrity say and do whatever you want. And if the average person, like my own mother, has no clue that half the stuff she's looking at is AI generated. She'll send me a documentary, quote, quote, documentary about something. And, she means well, but those voices you hear that you just know are AI, but they sound so realistic. She can't believe this is a computer. Or somebody just says, literally, someone who understands AI sits there on their YouTube channel and they tell whatever these programs are, make a 10-minute, documentary about the Loch Ness Monster, talking about blah, 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 and he hits play. And then, within like a minute, he's got a documentary that's, scouring the internet with images and stories, and it's narrated. And then he just posts it to YouTube and sits back and has a martini as he just click the views. Some of these young people are making so much money literally having AI generate this kind of content slop. Now, YouTube is going to, and other companies are going to have to find a way to ban that, because that's just going to, when everyone can do that, the entire system will explode. There's not probably enough computer hard drive space if everyone just sits back and just has AI make the slop videos. So there's definite regulation, Ernie loves, coming probably in that realm, or at least self-regulation of these companies. But the question is, what do we do about your own right? Now, I know Ernie doesn't believe in any of this stuff, so I'm curious, do you think you have the right to stop someone from using your likeness realistically, telling the world, I am Ernest Hancock of Freedom's Phoenix, and I've had a change of heart. Dr. Phranq Tamburri, after 10 years of torture, has finally convinced me you all need to go out and vote. Right? I'm going to make that video, honestly. I'm going to put it out there, and we'll see what Ernie does, especially if he gets like 10 million views and everyone believes that's what Ernie said. All right? I'm waiting for that one. But the question is, does someone have a right to clap back at that? And what does this do to what's left of the integrity of what's true, what's not? Which, of course, is what the government wants. Up is down, left is right, and we don't know. But Sora 2, just released, we'll see. And the reason I even brought this up is tacking it onto what you said, because the next question is porn. So, you can make your favorite celebrity do whatever you want, as realistic as you want. And if, Ernie has his way, I guess it doesn't matter, and we're going to be able to see whatever they want. But, where does that finally intersect with one's individual sovereignty as their image, their own brand, that we control our own image, and now we can't? So this is a real crux, and it'll be fascinating to see how the diehard libertarians ultimately handle this one. And I know they'll say, I'm just sticking to, you do whatever you want to do. But there's going to be a challenge to this in some way.
Okay, let me comment on this, because this is going to be a thing. What happened was, I was watching YouTube, I was on it or something, it was Elon Musk talking about whatever hell it was, and it was good. It was, how AI is going to this and do that and so on. But you could tell it looked and sounded just like Elon Musk. But you know how Elon always pauses, like he's thinking about how to phrase it or say it. He didn't have any of that. It was much quicker. There were no pauses. I'm going, that's not Elon. That's just not his syntax. That's not how he talks, and he's always kind of hesitating. And, so it just didn't seem like Elon. So I did a search on it and going, look, is this particular site using avatar AIs of Elon? Yes. Now, you don't know that? This site, uses all kinds of different actors, do this AI, whatever the hell they want to do. Now, they could take, like with me, they could do the same thing. I got enough video out there. They could do all my MP3s and load it in, and it does character recognition to text. We have the text of, I didn't even know this until yesterday, James Corbett pointed it out to me, that the videos that I do for Occupy the Land has the transcript underneath the videos of everything I said. And I'm going, Okay, well, there's that, I guess. So guess what? That gets searched. They get the sample of the voice. They get the image. They could just say, have Ernie AI version tell us about what he thinks about voting. Okay, well, here you go. Okay, there's going to be plenty of there. Well, as I was watching this Elon thing, I'm going, wow, that was powerful. And the election cycle is coming up for 26, and damn, do you think this isn't going to be a thing? Of course it is. They did it with PGP. They were sending text out like it was coming from somebody telling you to go vote for this guy because he's a pro-gun guy, when really he wasn't, and it was a hijack of the email database of some gun rights guy that they were telling all the people that he was supporting somebody that he normally wouldn't. But how did they know? So they did PGP. He would put out his stuff with a private key, and only the public key that everybody had would be able to verify that it was actually him saying it. That was the first use of encryption back in 93, 94. So I was going, oh, this is a powerful tool, encryption. It's also, you can be confident that some video game you're pirating, downloading doesn't have viruses in it because it's a known good version of encrypted, whatever the hell. So now, this is going. Bob and I were talking a couple days ago. We were over there hanging, and I go. He said something about, Max Headroom's going to come back. Oh, hell yeah!
What? Really? It's coming back?
No. Well, it is in this way. Okay, This is what's happening. Max Headroom was about I think it was in the 80s, 70s, 80s. It was about a dystopian future where it's hellscape of, Portland, Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago. I mean, that's pretty much what was being depicted. And that they would hijack into the broadcast network, and from a van, this one guy was a reporter or whatever, would put up Max Headroom that was kind of an AI that had, I'm Max Headroom, He was a character that would do the news or talk about different things or highlight whatever. So Max Headroom became a very popular, got all the eyeballs and ears of a bunch of people that still watch broadcast television. Then on the night of November 22nd, let me pull this up here. November 22nd, 1987, 35 years ago, the television signals of two stations in Chicago were hijacked, sending a pirate broadcast of an unidentified person wearing a Max Headroom mask to thousands of viewers. In this one area, this one station that was broadcast, if there was some football game or something was going on, all of a sudden they went V for Vendetta. They hacked into it, and they did it twice. And I'm going, what the crap? And this is the broadcast. They go, all right, we click the button. So it's a Max Headroom character up there, and this went on broadcast television. They're like, whoa. So this is kind of, the manifestation of that in the movies was V is for Vendetta. So then I was thinking, I'm going, how popular would a Max Headroom style thing, blonde hair, sunglasses, suit, doing the Max Headroom thing on a video with the face of fill in the blank, Trump, Musk, Schumer, whatever, So we went and looked. I put that in. And Grok gave me, you go, there's these pay for ones and this pay for one and these couple of free ones. You upload a short video or a image, and then you say in the style of Max Headroom, and it's done. It's already happening. And I thought I was going to be original. So this is what the future is going to be, is a parody of broadcasting of who do you believe? A Max Headroom avatar of Trump more than Trump? I mean, they have no idea what the creative mind of humanity is going to do with this technology. What did we do with the internet? What did we do with video on the internet? What did we do with memes, Photoshop, video, AI, shorts, TikTok? What did the people do? They got creative. That's what they did. It's the equivalent of an IED. I'm like, all right, you want to give me this? You want to play? Let's play. What are they going to do? Make it illegal? That's what they're trying to do. They go, you can't use any of them without permission slip. Well, it's max headroom. But then I go in to sign up for I go, yeah, I could use this, do that. I get the free start, free my ass. You have to sign in with your Facebook account or Google and the email of the authority. We know who you are. That's what they got to do. So what happens when you're able to do with your own AI on your own computer, and then to kind of, like Phil Zimmerman did when he released PGP, he just did it from a, phone modem to the 4chan of the whatever, and it's out. Sooner or later, this stuff, there's going to be a decentralized, just a IPFS hash that is going to go stupid, which is why they went after Kim.com and Mega Upload, is that he was just publishing hashes of data. They reconstituted on your computer from a hash. It looked like a Bitcoin address. Well, you can't list that. We're going to put you in jail. They're not going to be able to stop this. It doesn't matter what they say. This is what they're coming up against, and you're going to see it manifested in this next election cycle, 2006. Who do you believe? Oh, really, it should be critical thinking, and you believe your own freaking self, and you can take in all this crap and just glean what, comports to truth, justice, American way. That's what you need to do. Well, Tucker Carlson said, Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, and Trump is going to be saying all kinds of shit. That ain't them. Then what? Use your brain. That's what. Dummy. Comment on that?
I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out, to be honest. I know I would argue that at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to control it. I would say that. Will there, how far will we go in limiting rights for everybody in order to stop it? That's kind of the blowback problem. However, in a way, what I see this is the grown-up version of what they call online bullying, right? Which I know there's been a big move against that from both political parties, not to make this partisan. I like to think that it's a good, we could all agree that having, kids online bully is a problem. I mean, it's a problem when you're a kid. However, when you're younger, especially back in the day, that's how your grandparents told you to pop them in the face. And if you're bleeding more than the other guy, then go out and finish the job. Right? That's what my grandparents used to tell me. My dad, it's like, oh, you got to go out and finish it. So that's the mindset from back in the day. Then we all got soft about things, and now it's like, oh, you got to tell your counselor. And look, I'm not saying if a kid's really hurting your kid, you got to stop it. But it's certainly a culture change in one's own autonomy and what people have been allowed to do. Back then, if the kid popped the other kid for getting bullied, they wouldn't be kicked out of school like they are today for being violent. The kid shows up with a little rubber band gun like we all used to do, and you get kicked out of school for threatening with a firearm. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. So you're essentially taking the guns away, and I mean that in a, kind of a not quite figurative way, of the kids, right? If you take away their ability to fight back on their own, right? Just like they want to take a Second Amendment away from adults, then it forces you to have to rely on the state. And if the state is not there to back you up or can't back you up, whether or not they want to, well, then you're screwed. And that's what has been happening, I think, right? So they say don't defend yourself, sue them. So which is how we've got the whole sue culture going on. But that has led now with the internet and social media, and a lot of parents who did not grow up with social media, who thought bullying was a certain way, it took them a number of years to realize how social media amplifies this. I mean, it's bad enough someone calls your name out on the playground, and it's only a few people who hear you. But now with social media, the entire school, everybody can, know whatever it is that they're saying. Now, look, as adults, we know it's all childhood crap and it doesn't matter. But that's the world to teenagers, which is why they have such a high suicide rate. So I do take it seriously. So I'm just saying the concept of online bullying, which keeps getting worse from social media, compounded with the fact that students are not allowed to defend themselves anymore without you becoming the aggressor, has put you in a pincer move. Well, now this thing with Soma 2 and the future, to me, it's just the adult version of it. Because when you turn around and you have, your wife, all of a sudden, I'm saying this generically, not just about you, Ernie, But when you have your wife suddenly being shot to all of your network of business contacts, a Soma 2 or Soma 10, whatever it is at that point, and she's sitting there doing, I don't want to say much on the radio, but you get the idea. Let's just say, you got like 10 guys and doing a whole big video, and you got Sylvester Stallone and Arnold sitting there having sex with your better half and all kinds of crazy crap, and you send it to everyone in your network. I mean, you could sit back and just laugh and say, that was clever, or, oh, that person's a jerk. But, I think you're going to have people flip out. I mean, at what point?
Oh, it's worse than that.
And
it's going to be.
Oh, no,
it's going to be.
Well, that's politicians saying things they shouldn't.
It's going to be eighth graders having their classmates, doing the principal or some crap. I'm telling you.
All right, fine.
It's over.
But when that happens, I mean, adults can sit back and tell kids that you need to be online bullying is a bad thing, children. We need to stop rules, blah, blah, blah. Well, now the adults are about to get a taste of, I don't want to say their own medicine. To their credit, they're trying to stop online bullying. But this is the next manifestation. It's the adult version. And now how are the adults going to handle this, without basically destroying the First Amendment? I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. My libertarian hat goes in conflict with, I guess, a basic humanity hat, and I don't know. This you have to be the extreme libertarian to say, we have to sit back and agree with, or at least allow it to happen. On the other hand, the only reason I would probably lean more towards Ernie's diehard libertarian mode is not because I'm that libertarian, as Ernie, of course, knows. It's simply because if you can't stop it, then I don't want to just emulate what's left of the First Amendment for something you can't stop. So maybe it's a way to change culture about people not getting so upset. It's like sticks and stones. You never hear kids talk about that anymore. Sticks and stones may break my bones, and names will never hurt me. Obviously, we all know that. But most kids today are not even told that. And so I think
I've got microaggressed. I'm going to sue you.
Exactly. My attorney, Goldberg and Osborne will give you a call. So that's what it's turned into. So the country, especially the fact when they're bankrupt and they can't even afford an attorney and the whole world's falling apart, it might come back to community, to the individual, which of course we all know that's happening. And it might be just having a thicker skin in the cyber area, the cyber realm.
You know how thick my skin is? It's really, 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 I don't look at it. I don't look at it thick. That's why. Hey, did you see it? I didn't look. Well, if you go look, why would I do that? Well, you'll need to know that. I don't need to. I don't give a shit. It's like, I sent you the Facebook post. Well, that was your first mistake. I don't care. It's just, as long as my family, when I got, I can't even keep track of how many times I was in the news of Ernie said of something. I remember one time we were walking into a church service. Don and I went to our Bible study, and everybody stopped talking and staring at me. And it was because of voter database that we were trying to put on to demonstrate that you could. And the county filed suit. We went. Anyway, I got to where they couldn't do what I knew they were doing, and it's a long story. But when I went in, all the media that week was all about this Ernest Hancock, chairman of the Libertarian Party, is going to, woo, I can't believe Ernest. During church service, at the Bible study part of it, it was a big church, so there was like 60 families in this one, group, and couples, and they go, all right, Ernie, tell us what's up. And I did like a 3-minute, let me tell you what's really going on, this, and this is to protect, and so that they're already doing it. They just, made it legal, and I'm highlighting that, kind of just so you know. Oh, okay. But what happened? It's whatever the narrative they put up. It's whatever they say. What if I don't care? What if that I'm not associating what's going on with my name? I just will use my name for them to put out what I'm associating to. It's not that Ernie did anything. It's that they're doing it. I'm going, did you guys know this before? Well, now you know. You're welcome. Boom. Okay. We're good. But I always own my own business. I always ran my own crap. I always critically thought. I always cared more about what my family and close friends think, and they all knew. And the only people that knew me that didn't know what was up was my Bible study. Now, again, I go, this is what's going on. That's why I'm doing it. Damn, Ernie. Damn. Yeah. Who else did it? Okay, you're welcome. Done. So, I don't care. I don't care what the reporter says. I don't care what the FBI says. I don't care what the government says. I'm just going to make them say it. Say it, some bitch, say it. You know, that's one thing. Phranq was watching the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and Sam Kinison played a professor in that, and he's going, say it, and him and Savard going, wow, that sounds like Ernie. You know, I go, yeah, that's where I got it from, dummy. You know? All right, let's go to the next story. Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret. Ooh, what's Victoria's Secret doing? We get more, panty bulges.
They fired all their angel models for Soma too. That's the story. There we go. We're done.
No, yeah, Victoria's Secret Fashion Show 2025, brand new. Brand back to super sexy. Woohoo! The market is super sexy. We're losing money. We're going back to long legs and cleavage and freaking camel toes. I mean, we're all over it again. I'm like, fine. But do I trust them?
No.
I just, the brand, they're done.
They're done.
American Eagle jeans with Sydney Sweeney, whatever her name is. That was American Eagle jeans.
That was a shot across the bow that woke is dead. That's pretty much what that moment was. And every other company that bailed out and turncoat, I agree. They're just done.
Well, this American brand, I never heard of them. Their sales are through the roof. They're like, woohoo! And we're not apologizing either. You guys can suck it. So I'm going, cool on you. Right on. Well, Victoria's Secret should be the first ones to have led that charge to begin with. But, did they? So, no. So I'm like, all right. So Victoria's Secret, here it comes.
And just a quick, just tangential, I got to throw it in. The Epstein moment of the week is that the owner of Victoria's Secret was next door neighbors and personal pals and hangout pals with a certain initials, J and E. I'll just float that out there if you guys can guess who that is.
Which you would think he wouldn't have gone woke to begin with,
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. All right. Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood has infiltrated the American Republic. Now, this is something that has really taken over London. The United Kingdom and all, this is what happens when you give power to any kind of special affirmative action group, kind of whatever. There's more mosques being built than churches. Here it comes. What kind of cultural shift is that going to be? It's not the culture. It's like they had a South Park episode. All right, I want to do this. This will apply. South Park did an episode to where the kids had a peer-to-peer betting app, and they're betting on whether Kyle's mom, which is Jewish, is going to go blow up a Gaza hospital. Well, of course, that's a billion to one that's not going to happen. But they were playing on that, and then she finds out that she gets all mad, and I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. And eventually, she goes to Israel, rushes in a meeting with Netanyahu, and she goes, why am I getting asked to Jew? You're making it so rough on Jews, and certainly American Jews. It's Israel people. It's Israel's doing this, not Jews. And American Jews, am I allowed to not care? I'll give you a piece of my mind. I don't care, blah, 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 blah. And it was a great episode, and it made the point that, they're throwing American Jews into this as like that voting bloc. No, it's not. It's just the Israel lobby that controls congressmen. American Jews aren't for, all this kind of stuff. But what am I looking for? I don't give a crap if you're Muslim or Jewish or what. Are you? What kind of American are you? Are you for freedom? Well, the Muslim caliphate, the Muslim, doctrine, just like Israel, greater Israel from the Mediterranean to the Euphrates, is kind of the Muslim thing, is we're going to have a Muslim Shia, or what do they call it? A Muslim Shia law or whatever it is. So are they doing that? Hell yeah. Some of these cities that, certainly London, and then you get a lot of these other blue cities, states around the country, there you got a Muslim contingent. This is where Omar What's-Her-Face comes from. All these Somalia refugees went to Dearborn, Michigan, and they control. So, this is what it looks like. This is, the Amish just want to be left alone. This is like the Amish wants to be in charge. I'm going, so we're going to have a clash of culture of freedoms That is what's happening. When you're talking about the culture getting changed to what? Change to who's got the brass ring, tell you what to do. That's what's happening. So I'm just, saying that. Now, there was one story that I put up, and I go, publisher recommended. When I put publisher recommended, I don't do that often. It's like you just search on Freedom's Phoenix for publisher recommended, and you watch it, you see why I did it. Here's a guy. He's a technical economic guy. He's got his own show. It's popular. We post a lot of his stuff. And he goes, we're cooked. The collapse has begun. What comes after America? America what? America Inc., America Geography, America Philosophy, America Cost of America. What kind of American are you? Well, he's going, we're done. I mean, he gives out a long list of, getting involved, and everybody's got to get educated and kind of go to open source education.online and get all learnified up with James Corbett selected documentaries there, and you'll know what's up. And you go, okay. Then you can go vote. Well, what difference does that make if it's not accurate and fair and equally kind of your representation, general public opinions manifested in the Republic from the Democrat election of the Republic, bound down by the change of the Constitution? What happens when that's not done? Then all this goes out the window. Well, he's kind of like, yep, they're going to have to this, which you're probably not going to do. So what comes after? What kind of America are we going to be then? What, how dominant are we going to be on the international stage? How is the dollar going to be seen? How? And what is going to manifest after the collapse, the taking, your 401k, your pension, and it's gone. What happens then? That's what he's talking about. And I thought it was very good on exactly where we are now and what's going to happen. The collapse has begun. What comes after America? And that video, it's only like 40 minutes or something, but I'm just, I'll just pick random in the middle of something.
In the last.
Here we go. I'll put this up, and I'll let the commercials play and kind of, I got to hit the skip. Skip. All right. Goes in to, I got another one I got to skip through. All right. Here we go. I'm going to just put it in the middle. And what is this? 47 minutes. I'll put it at 24 and a half minutes about, and we'll see what he has to say.
We'd have to enforce fiscal discipline, increase taxes, but not so much companies slow down. We'd have to print money and restructure debt, but in a balanced way that doesn't crash the economy or birth runaway inflation. Ray Dalio calls this very delicate and tricky path out of a debt crisis a beautiful deleveraging. Most countries execute an ugly deleveraging, but if we were going to do it right, it would look something like this. We'd balance the following four levers so the system deflates the debt burden without blowing up growth or igniting runaway inflation. The four levers are as follows. 1, austerity. We have to spend less than we earn. We're going to have to...
Not going to happen. All the things that he did, that is not going to happen until the collapse. So he's finally gets to the end of where, then what's the America afterwards? I'll just go about, 3/4 of the way here and see what he has to say there.
The UAE is rapidly becoming one of the most business-friendly jurisdictions on Earth, a title formerly held by the U.S. They know oil's future is limited, so they are using today's profits to establish tomorrow's industries, finance, technology.
But not the U.S. We're just doing debt. We're just making more debt. We're just printing up more money, which they're abandoning. And we know that because of what? Well, we know gold and silver prices. That's what. So this is it's not a gonna happen thing. It's an already happened thing. Rest of this is just deck chair assortment on the Titanic.
Before we go, just to put a capstone on this topic, any last words of the past week or so on crypto, or specifically Bitcoin? Any thoughts one way or the other on it?
No, it's programmable. GoldmanSachs.gov coin, what I've been predicting since forever. Here we go. I don't know. I'm one of those crazy people. I go, you know what? When they're cheap, it goes down. I buy a little bit more Dogecoin. Why? Because it's a meme coin. It don't mean nothing until Elon, because he can't say anything. SEC violation of your pump and dump and you're not allowed. Well, You can use Doge at different places and buy your freaking Tesla or whatever with it. So I'm going, okay. What happens when he reprograms and developers working on to make it a real, spendable kind of, and it's Mars money? Then what? I don't know. I'm just, because screw you. What happens? Do you know that the United States government will never stop spending? The most they do is the rate of growth of the debt. And this big, beautiful, I spend a bunch of your money and your grandkids got to pay it back bill, they're just doing it more. But we're going to invest and we'll inflate our way out of the mess of what, it's over. They can't. We've known this for decades. They can't stop. Because what's Trump want? Yeah, but the stock market gets up before the Knesset and, before the UN and then, America, we're strong, kick ass, and we're still you want to be like, no, we don't. We don't want to be like you. You're going down. The same thing. And another thing, the psychology of, I saw another video that was very interesting. They were talking about when you feminize governments because men and women think differently. But whenever you have a matriarchy, when they get want to be more man-like or something or whatever, you get more wars. He's going, no, men are programmed for protection. They're the protector of the family, of the country. That is their mindset, some kind of you turn men into women, you get them all beta male and everything, you start having wars because you got to have this collective because they're more about, whatever, the psychology of it, and it was interesting. So I'm seeing what's going to happen is the rise of men, the need for men, the need for a macho kind of protected, I'll go whip ass and don't mess with me kind of.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but let's just clarify. You don't mean men. We're talking about men acting as men. There's a big difference. But yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And taking on the traditional role of what? Protection.
Which, therefore,
what do you say you do here?
Well, just like you have yin and yang, that also, therefore, would decree, in a sense, that women should be acting like women. And each side returns to certain parts of their roles. Obviously, we're not trying to, chain women, baking brownies in the kitchen as the left has stereotyped it, but it'll be out of pride, necessity, and millions of years of evolution. I think people will go back into what is ingrained within us, and I think we'll all be happier as people and a culture.
A very influential book in a lot of libertarian circles was done by Samuel Edward Konkin. Now, what he did is he wrote, agorism. He came up with the word agorism, which means I don't know. It's Greek for a free market. And what he was doing is defining how the future is going to be. This is what eventually it's going to be. Agorism is going to be a free market because that's the only thing that works. And eventually, and here we go. Well. So I put that, it's a second story on top of freedom to say, I'm going, look, this has been discussed before, usually in science fiction. Usually it's Heinlein, Hogan, Asimov, this is what's going to happen. And it's all based on psychology. There's been a lot of, it's hard for me to, without taking decades of an activism and being on the radio and publishing Freedom's Phoenix and so on to try and highlight what I see is coming and why. So our audience of the, thousands, tens of thousands or whatever that, watch this program, that subscribe to Freedom's Phoenix, they, I would hope, get it. Even though we put up, articles from New York Times and Newsweek and CNBC, it's not because I believe what they say. It's just so you see the crap that they're spewing. Do you really, in light of all the other stuff that we put up, what is the truth? You have to put on your critical thinking cap. You got to think. Oh, we want you to think this, not this way. We just want you to think this about that. It's a narrative. Well, can I use my own humanity or freaking experience or whatever? Based on what? Are they teaching anything in school? They teaching you how to, balance your checkbook? Are they teaching you about economic? Well, this is what Trump is doing now. They're going to teach you a patriotic America. And RFK Jr. is going, medical school, we're demanding, you want any of our money? You're going to be teaching them about nutrition and preventative medicine, you freaking morons. It's so obvious what's coming, which is why on the Trump report, I've been so supportive of us talking about the movies. pop culture. This is what Phranq knows. Phranq is all, hey, they're doing this and that and everything we've been talking about for the last decade. This last August was a decade of Phranq and I doing Trump Report. And a lot of that was Disney, comic books. Here they go after what? The family. They're going to redefine what the family is. You know, what is it? I don't know. Conforming, complying people of America. Nope, that's not what it was about. So to me, the culture is America is a culture of freedom protection. That, and I don't give a shit what religion you have, what you advocate, what you do, what you say, if we're all equal under a law that is there to protect rights of the individual. Your pursuit of happiness. Doesn't guarantee you happiness, the pursuit of happiness. Be able to change your circumstance, your happenstance. This is what it's about. And it's going to come back to that because it always does. It has to. If not here, somewhere. Is that common? No. So what are you going to do? Buy silver. All right, let's wrap it up. What do you guys say, Phranq?
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So now that's about it. I took a screen grab as you were talking, of the speech that Trump gave in Israel, and you can see Adelson, and you see this, and I guess maybe her daughter sitting to her right, and there's this dude who's very polished looking, and he's sitting right to her left, and he's recoiling. You can see his eyes in this one screen grab. It's astounding. It's like etched in my head. What must be? I can imagine a bunch of memes of what he's thinking. Yeah, I can imagine him posting. And Allison, she's just smiling and beaming because Trump's calling her out and saying what amazing supporter of Israel she is. And when given the choice, which was your favorite? And she's just smiling, and it makes you realize she probably doesn't even understand the political dynamics. You know, she's just so gung-ho on her cause. You know, good for her. I mean, she's got a cause, and she's throwing her money behind it. So, you know, free market, let her do what she wants. But she's not seeing the political overtones of what's happening in Israel as he's giving that talk. And you can see the guy going, oh, my God, stop it.
We're outed.
I'm going to send you that the minute we get off the phone. I'm going to send that photo to you. It's a keeper, you know. So anyway.
Well, this is we went over quite a bit, and I'm glad we got to have this conversation. All arrows point to get ready, occupy the land.
Yep.
You know, get your own power. Dude, you know, the technology is coming. Just in the last few years, we got communication with Starlink, and the competitors. There's going to be other options. How surveilled are they going to be? That's a real question. AI in the hands of the people is going to be creative. I mean, meme wars are going to get video wars, you know. Then you're going to have they, them, those, you're not allowed, you can't, copyright, strike of whatever the hell. You know, the heck that we even talked about this. And not Ernie anymore. But in the last couple of weeks, our traffic is like quadrupled. And I'm going, what the crap is that? And this is what usually happens. They change an algorithm. They get all pissed off. They, you know, comply with some Trump, you know, market demand of we need to open it up to whatever and take Freedom's Phoenix off the, you know, Southern Poverty Law Center list, which is the FBI. The Kash Patel just came out a few days ago and said we're severing all ties with the Southern Poverty Law Center. What they were doing is originally in the, I think, 70s or something, they came around if after the Church Commission and so on, they find out that the FBI, they were surveilling a bunch of different groups and going after the anti-war people and the civil rights movement and all that stuff. Southern Poverty Law Center came out and going, well, we're going to investigate these guys still, these, you know, hood-wearing, you know, Ku Klux Klan-y people, do reports and send it to the FBI, and there's your evidence, justification for investigating these people because we wrote a report and told you, and we lobby you and gave you a bunch of money, and the ADL and the Defamation League of Israel, kind of an anti-Semite, and we're going to have the FBI go get you. During COVID, what do? They go after, you know, we're targeting Obama administration. We're going after all these mothers and people that, you know, talk to their school board about mandates, and you can't, we investigate them. Oh, we're going after the Catholics because they're this kind of crap. So then, finally, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the FBI goes, you know, we're not working with you guys anymore. We don't need, because I got hit, you know, Sheriff Joe Arpaio in 94, he calls me, he says, hey, Ernie, You're on top of the list of the militia because Second Amendment is for everyone. We had a political PAC in support of unrestricted concealed carry in Arizona, which is now the law. Well, that started with activism from us. Well, those freaked out. So we were, because it was Arizona, started with an A. They went by the states, and the first one, top of the list, was me. Second Amendment is for everyone. The safe organization in Arizona, the militia of militia. And I'm going, really? And this was the initiative that we did. The way the Constitution was written then, it said, all able-bodied men between the ages of 17 and 35 or something are automatically part of the state guard of militia or something. Be called up by the governor of whatever, defensive whatever. And we go, all right, this will get them. We control them. We can go all Trump on them. Let's do this. So we filed an initiative, and all we did was change two things. All willing able-bodied men and women. We added willing and women to it, so that we're not serfs, we're not slaves, and we don't care, men and women. I don't care. Well, they thought that was it. That was the whole thing, that it wasn't it. They went after me like you went. I just let them for about 3 days before I went on local radio, and I go, oh, golly, shuck and gee willikers. We didn't want to be slaves, so we put willing, and we added women. You don't want us to add women? Everybody, and all the press went, oh, I hate them libertarians. They trolled us, got us, again. Damn it. So I'm just like, you guys are so freaking easy. Because they never read it. They don't know what the hell's going on. They just make this crap up. So, this is the future. The future is going to be people that critically think and understand what the base real principles are. And if we just keep getting them to say it, it's because enough saying's been going on by the alternative media out there, just same kind of crap we do, multiply that times a gazillion, and those are willing to link their life to YouTube, and it's having an impression on general public opinion worldwide. And what do? Buy TikTok in support of Israel. We take out Charlie Kirk because he wasn't in support of Israel. Was that reason why? Wouldn't surprise me. Not a bit. So now, what's going to happen? I don't know. But fundamentally, it is eventually going to be an existential crisis that humanity understands and will act accordingly to keep breathing in and out, and it's going to eventually be a food thing. That America, after that, is all going to convert to being Amish or something. I mean, I have no idea. Occupy the land. That's my thing. Phranq?
No, it's good. Let's cut it there, and welcome to any new audience members. Welcome to, if you made it this far, what's wrong with you? You're still listening.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you have to get back to work and pay your taxes for the man. Stop listening to us. All right, my friend. I'll talk to you later. And anyway, I'll ask you some other stuff off the air sometime later.
Okay,
right,
real quick. You said that. I want to get this story. When I was doing radio, I remember it was the morning show out of Scottsdale, and you had to break for news and for traffic report. Well, we're going Skyview traffic, back with, Dana or whoever it was that would come on and give the traffic report. Back to the traffic report. Okay, help us get the tax slaves back to work. Well, what do we need? So I would always do that. And they called the station back. We really don't like when Ernie does that, They get the tax slaves to work. I'm going, well, what the hell are you doing? I go, no, I doubled down on that. You can kiss my ass. This is all part of the narrative. You can't bring up the truth of what things are. I've been dealing with this since for freaking ever, but we've gotten to the point to where credibility is what is valuable. Who do you believe? And if they believe Max Headroom with somebody's face on it more, then Max Headroom is going to come back. I guarantee it. If I have to do it, I'll do it.
About credibility is kind of an interesting analogy. It's like doctors who would say, you can't use a drug that hasn't gone through 7 years of testing because we have to go by the official word. And then when it's 1 week of testing with the pseudo vaccine, there's nothing to see here, right? It's kind of the same thing with the economy, with investing. The CNBC and all the Operation Mockingbird investment companies and the New York Times and Wall Street Journal, all of them, they still have this mindset that you invest in stocks and bonds.
And if you talked about gold, you can't talk about it. If you want to invest as a broker, you're told no more than 10%, otherwise we can take your license away. And you watch the Mad Money guy and all these shows, if gold, when I'm making a move, they wouldn't talk about it, right? They would treat gold going up or any movement in the gold market as when Dr. Ron Paul went up in the polls, completely ignored. So that's what they've done all along. And their excuse was, well, it's only 10% or less of what most people would invest in. Very few Americans have gold. Yeah, I wonder why, because the investment brokers are being told not to really support or talk about gold. So the whole thing's suppressed. And one of the rationale is it's too volatile, or it doesn't really make any money, or it's not approved, or it hasn't been proven enough in today's economy, or whatever excuses they want. Now, even though I know it's been around for thousands of years, you'd think it's proven itself by now, not fiat. Fiat's proven it falls apart. But nevertheless, they will use excuses, it kind of equivalent to the pseudo-vaccine. To the stability of you have to trust the science, 7 years of testing, same thing, right? We're not going to do anything that's different. Then comes Bitcoin. And Bitcoin comes, and Bitcoin is the equivalent. And guys, I'm not trying to jump on Bitcoin in this comment here, but I am going to make the analogy. It's like the COVID pseudo-vaccine, right? It comes out of nowhere. It hasn't been tested anywhere close to what gold has. And look, maybe, like with the pseudo-vaccine, there's a chance it could work. For some people, maybe it helped them. Let's just say it's proof of concept, and it's going to take time, especially during this transition and the reset and everything, to see what its place is. But it's fascinating that the conventional establishment economic system that said we're not going to talk about gold because we have to stick to what we know, the fundamentals, is stocks and bonds, and then they leapfrog over gold right to crypto. And just like, 7 years of testing, they leapfrog to, you can't take an experimental drug from Germany that's been around for 20 years if the FDA has not approved it, but you have to take this drug for 1 week. So you leapfrog over and immediately you undermine, like you were saying, the credibility of your entire establishment system. And that's what they just did with the economy by going to Bitcoin. Again, not saying Bitcoin can't be the way, or at least another option. And I think we're going to have a dual money system future with crypto, especially with Bitcoin and commodities. That's my personal belief. I'm not just trying to blow smoke at both sides and play the middle. I think there's going to be a balancing act there for different reasons. But the fact that they leapfrogged over shows you what they don't want you to pay attention to. That's the point. All right, man. We'll talk later.
I want to do one more thing. I've been waiting on doing this. All right, here we go.
Go.
I asked Bob, I'm going, what the hell is this about? They had, the shutdown thing. It's for Hispanic voting bloc, the Democrat, whatever. And Trump trolled him with this sombrero on Jeffries with this, handlebar Mexican mustache thing. I was we went shopping. I don't know. We were some big box, a Food City or Walmart or something. And we're in there getting groceries. Donna, we were traveling, doing a supply day. And I saw all of these, I don't know, like Brophy Prep, Xavier, well-dressed, young, 18 to 22-year-old kids, about, I don't know, at least 8, 9, 10 of them, walking around shopping. They're all wearing these black mustaches, kind of like a paper mustache. They were trolling the Hispanic community or something. And I'm like, the hell is that about? What? So Bob goes, no, it's they're trolling the Hispanic community voting. So I'm like, you got young kids, like what are they, turning point people or something? I mean, what was that about? Well, this is, just Trump having an impact on the culture. Them walking, I don't think anybody cared or got it, or I didn't care. But these things have legs. It's becoming a general public opinion thing. And when you got the youth out doing that, I'm not even sure what that means, but I just wanted to mention it. All right. Thanks, man. Peace.
All right. Peace.